Okay, we'd like to call our Capital Improvement Committee meeting to order. It's Friday, March 22nd, 2019. It is 9:13. Today is the much anticipated day that everyone looks forward to. It's the ranking system. We've met with all the department heads, and they brought forward their projects, and today's the day we rank them all so that we can put something forward to for town meeting. Mr. Administrator?
So that we're all on the same page, this is only the beginning of the capital planning process. So this is not the conclusion of the committee's business. In fact, you will never stop meeting because this year, department heads turned in capital projects that total $31,349,209.
Would you please repeat that again?
$31,349,209.
Thank you.
Last year, when we went through this process, the total was $19,946,645. The biggest change has been water and sewer was much more forthcoming with their longer range plan and their needs. So there's millions of dollars there.
Right.
But what this means is that the capital planning process, one of the first questions we have to engage and have meetings about is what is the capacity of the town over the next 5-6 years? How much of that can you possibly try to even do? And that's an important part of the capital planning process. It just, because if you run out of options, then we have to start thinking about other solutions to the problems presented. So what'll happen today is you'll do the ratings for this year's requests. And at some point, Gene's gonna come in and grab me, and we're gonna try to figure out what the bottom line budget is. We don't want that number to interfere with your ratings process. In other words, you shouldn't be rating things based on the dollar figure next to them. You should be using the rating system to determine what your priorities are. And only after, if we don't have the money to do it, then there's another conversation. How would we do it? But this is a policy-making board, so you're making policy decisions that have financial ramifications. But in the first instance, you're trying to determine the need and the necessity of a project. So when Gene comes in and grabs me, we'll try to figure it out. But whatever doesn't get funded this year slides to next year, and then some subsequent meeting, definitely not today, we'll have to re-rank for 21 and 22. And we'll need to do that before town meeting, really before we publish the flyer, because when we publish the flyer, we should have 5 years worth of capital worked out. I don't think you go through the same excruciating conversation. You try to do it in one meeting, try to get out to fiscal 24 and what would we try to do between now and fiscal 24? But what we're doing today is really basically drafting the article for the warrant. It's a separate article. So as you go along, I will add up I will have a spreadsheet working your individual scores. I won't put that up because I don't want to bias your rating process by any strategic, like, oh, well, that one got a really high score, so I don't want that to show up. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to shut up and try to do my best. I'm not going to type in the whole list just yet either, because maybe the first thing you do, Mr. Chairman, is go through, take one pass through, knowing that there's no way we'll do all of these. Is there anything that's obviously just not worth discussing today because it would take too much time? Okay. That might be one way to keep the meeting to a couple hours.
So we're going to rank them 1 through 4, 1 being the highest priority, 2 a second priority, 3, and 4. Do we want to go through the criteria for each one?
I think for the benefit of anybody who watches, and people do watch these meetings, there's a lot of money at stake, so I would try to explain what these ratings mean.
So a priority 1 scores 4 points. It gets the most amount of points. And a priority 1 has 4 bullet points that would put it in a category where it would score a priority 1. Number 1 is project is necessary to alleviate a significant existing documented threat to health or safety. Number 2 would be satisfies a judgment of a court, rectifies a notice of a violation or a similar legal liability binding on the town where appeal is not likely to be successful. Bullet number 3 is alleviates an emergency service disruption or deficiency. And the final one is prevents irreparable damage to a valuable public facility. So any one of those categories or bullet points would, and that would be, we would call that a must-do. We must do this project. So priority 2 scores 3 points. There's 5 bullet points there. Project is necessary to prevent the onset of a likely health and hazard or alleviate an existing threat of significant but repairable damage to public property. The next one would be rehabilitates or replaces a public facility or asset that creates acknowledged liability that is not yet subject to enforcement action. The third one supports a documented viable economic initiative estimated to achieve straight payback within 10 years, net of grant funds. The next one leverages available federal or state funds. And then finally, reduces future operating costs, achieving straight payback within 5 years. So that would be a priority 2, which is a should do. So far we have a must do and a should do.
So I'll just explain what straight payback means. We're not calculating interest or discount rates or anything. If the project costs $1 million today, does the town recoup through perhaps new revenue $1 million within 10 years? So people say the project pays for itself. Well, not exactly, but it does cover its own cost within a reasonable amount of time. Mm-hmm. That's what straight payback is. The private sector, you would use economic value, you would mark against the markets where you could invest your money and get a return. That's called economic value added. We're not doing that. We're just straight payback, which is how a lot of our grant agencies rate our grant applications, the same way. So that would be 10 years for an economic development and 5 years for something that reduces operating costs. I say net of grant funds because the grant funds are not taxpayer dollars. So if the Commonwealth is happy to give us $150,000 for streetlights, and it actually only takes 5 years for that to pay itself back, but let's say it took 10. It doesn't matter to us. We're going to use the Douglas portion. So, you know, that changes the dynamic on a lot of these things, where if we can leverage a grant for 50%. So if it pays back $1 million in 10 years, but the town's only putting in $500,000, we're actually getting payback on our taxpayer dollars in 5 years, not 10. So that would qualify as a priority should do.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yep. All right, so priority 3 scores 2 points. The bullet points, project required to maintain basic services in the 2 to 5 year time frame. Project provides new expanded service that causes net increase in operating costs. Reduces future operating costs, achieving straight payback after more than 5 years, not more than 10 years. And then finally, project will enable future improvements to service or quality or quantity, but is not essential to maintaining existing service level. So that's a could do. So priority 3 is could do. And then finally, priority 4 is a score of 1 point. 2 bullet points, desirable project that does not need to be addressed within 5 years, will be part of a plan that has, part of a plan but not published 5-year plan. And then desirable project requiring debt planning or other funding strategy due to its size, scope, and or lack of other urgent factors as noted that it is not available at time of ranking. So, and that would be a nice to do. It'd be nice to do that, but we don't really get to do those too often. But anyway, so those are the way that we're going to rank things. Basically, a must do gets 4 points, a should do gets 3, could do gets 2, and a nice to do would get 1. So Matt has given us the score sheet, and we should put our name at the top that says who we are as far as rating.
Boy, we've never done that before.
I
Your
guess
ratings
it's good
actually are-
documentation, really.
It's actually a public record.
Right.
But it's usually just the meeting that's the,
So I'm going to do that too. But how you vote as an individual, that's actually something that people,
so I shouldn't put any notes on this? I should just put 1, 2, 3, 4?
if you're going to say that idiot, comma,
Yeah.
Matt, please don't put that
Yeah,
on there.
Whoa. Can we put zeros if it's, no, we don't think it should be done at all?
In all honesty, if you think it has absolutely no merit at all, I mean, there's nothing that stops you from
At this
putting it
time,
in.
it's for this year. I'm one that does stuff like that, so.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
so-
say that would, really, the lowest should be a number one, which would be nice to do, but we're just not going to do it.
We're using.
So when we started the meeting, my recommendation was, if you think it has absolutely no reason to be done at all this year, then
Yeah.
just, I would say, make a motion for the body to take it off the list and don't rate it today. That'll make the meeting very long. If a majority of the committee thinks it shouldn't be in this year's list at all, because we just could never do it this year, take it off today's list and we'll get to it in the future.
So is that what we should do first?
That's my recommendation.
We'll go down the whole list and,
All right, so,
Because you got 20 some odd items here, we'd be here until the moon comes up if we try to do them
Well,
all.
no, so, I mean, should we look through it right now and not go through the list?
Not have it on the list.
Yeah, and
That's
then.
what he just said.
Yeah, okay, so, I mean, but Kent was saying, I'll read through every single one.
so let's just sort of skim the
just
document.
touch them, touch them.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah, let's
say
skim the doc. So drone purchase, I think it should stay.
I don't.
I do.
I think it should be considered,
Right.
in my opinion.
I do too.
I tend to, just to debate.
Well, if we debated everything,
No.
we'd be
No,
here
we
all
have not
day.
debated at all. We've only had informational meetings.
All right, so let's do this. Because it sounds like if we,
This is
Not
where,
looking at
this is where Robert's rules is your friend.
right,
So
so,
if the only question before the body is whether or not it should be on the list for today, if you don't think it should be on, you can make the motion to take it off the list. If it doesn't get a second, you just move on.
I guess what I'm saying is, for the sake of time, let's take a minute or two, just everyone glance down, and then we'll say, is there anything that somebody feels needs to come off? And then we either agree as a body, because if we just go by everything, we're going to be here all day. Because then we're going to go back and go through the whole list again and then rank.
Well, or you can go back to it. You might have a lot of consensus by the time you get to the bottom. You notice you have one objection so far. Ms. Chesbro doesn't want to do
Okay.
this one.
All right.
But to move on to the next one, and then when you get to the end, you can add it all up and say, do you want to debate it or not?
All right, backup generator. I think it should stay on
Yes,
personally.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Want to move on?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I agree.
Okay. Building, replace post office AC unit.
It's in a contract, isn't it? So we have to do it.
Well, when it fails, we will. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what's happening.
So we keep it? Consensus?
I think we should keep it, and we'll be rating it when.
Correct.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Replace police department AC unit.
So, I think it should stay.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
it should stay.
Right. Replace,
So is that a,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sorry.
If I don't say anything, then that.
no,
that-
you got to speak.
Silence is assent.
Right.
Is there a time limit? Should we do a TikTok on that one?
No, you come
I'll
on.
tell you what, let's do like we do on town meeting. If there's something, I'll read through, and then if you think it shouldn't be, say hold, and we'll go back to that.
Oh, that's a
How's that
good
sound?
idea. Yeah.
All right? All right. All right, where were we?
We're
All
on
right.
Building.
Replace main roof municipal center.
Do we want to remove this?
Yeah, so I am recommending that the committee remove this from today because we're not ready.
This one
This has
and the
turned out
next
to
one.
be a way more complex
Yeah.
undertaking.
And the next one, right?
Correct. Let's take them both off.
And
Right.
so,
Okay, good. Highway, replace 1,000 feet of sidewalk.
hold.
Okay. Highway reclaim and repave roads, various roads. Okay.
I just have a question. That would be under, also include Chapter 90,
That
right?
would
Yeah.
be funded by Chapter 90.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, portable radios, DFD. Replace ambulance, DFD.
Now, my recommendation there is that you take this off today.
The
But
ambulance?
Gene and I are looking at the funding source needs to be expended this fiscal year. So this item, you should talk about it, because you will need a recommendation for FinCom and for town meeting, but for special town meeting. So the way this is pulling together is we have 100,000 from the state legislature that we have to use by December. So the timing here is, it's just different. It shouldn't be competing for next year's capital funds. It's either going to happen or not on this year's special.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna take that off
But discuss later.
Yeah,
and discuss, okay?
Needs to be under 2019 budget.
yeah.
Okay, DFT utility truck with plow. DFT HVAC for fire station. Replace engine one. Quite honestly, I would say take that off. And the same with engine two. They're there because I just
They
want to
should be
present the
there.
need that at some point they're going to be replaced. I also understand there'll probably be debt exclusions down the line, but we come through as a formality, okay?
Agreed.
No, it's got to be in the plan, but not this
Yeah.
year.
So is that, if it's a debt exclusion item, it should not be on here?
No, it can be on
Well, you
here.
need to recognize that it needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
Because it's like a $500,000 item right off the bat, you know.
It can't be from the general fund. It needs to be,
I guess what the chief is saying, with some likelihood, we may have to do one of these within the next 5 years,
Yeah.
but he's not asking for it for 20.
Yeah.
It's his department, so it's his right to remove
Yep.
it.
Right. Okay, replace roof on fire station. Repair engine bay floors. That's all fire department. Highway, replace 1996 International dump truck with plow and sander. Highway, replace 1996 mower with bagger system. DPD tablets used in cruisers. DPD feasibility police station options.
What happened to the police station?
It was a future year.
Okay, but I didn't know that they talked about the feasibility police station option. Is that a?
No, we did. So
We did
in
at
the
the
meeting,
meeting.
we said we should probably fund a study first to look at our existing buildings
And
before we
options.
went to the people with any plan. We talked about
We
that at
did.
some length, yeah.
That might have been the
You
meeting
may
you
not-
missed,
you may have been
Ellen.
away.
Yeah, because I remember asking about that and being told, well, you know, we spend a lot of money on these feasibility studies or plans, and so why should we do it? So that's why I'm surprised that this is here. I think I've been,
but just, if I may, a comment, I think this feasibility option is just to see what is available.
It's to put numbers around what your options are as a town.
Yeah,
and that costs $35,000? People can't just walk around? and-
possibly.
I mean, I could do it for
Yeah, well,
$30,000.
this is a little bit
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
pretty pictures. This
Yeah.
is more of a, I think what we anticipate here is looking at a couple of the buildings that we already have
Yeah.
that would need to be retrofit.
Yeah.
You can put a number to that.
Yeah,
The chief can say, I would need X number of workstations, I would need a sally port, these are the things I need. And we can look at our existing buildings and our existing arrangement and try to put price tags to those things.
We
That's
did,
a little bit
we
more
did
heady.
that back in 2011 or 12, and then we put the squash on it because it was going to be 120 grand, and we kept people working instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's no six-digit number here at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that was, and you figure, that was 7 or 8 years ago, and that was the number. But whatever.
But I'll also tell you that number sounds a lot more like a design study on a
Yeah.
new building than it sounds like a
Yes.
feasibility.
I agree.
So what did
You're right.
Charlie do? Didn't he go through all the buildings?
Who?
Van Horhoo's?
No.
He had this big fat report, and it looked at every single town building in town.
Who was this now?
Charlie
Van
Van
remember.
Horsees.
Vander Hees or something.
Yeah, he did the
The
library.
Dutch guy, yeah.
He did the library.
Yeah, I don't know how long ago that was.
Yeah,
It wasn't that long ago.
but the other one was the other study of all.
The RISV report?
The RISV,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
that's
and
20 years
Charlie
old.
did his
Yes.
after the RISB one.
Right.
And he did, I mean, it's a paper document, too.
There goes our quorum.
Fire alarm announcing is still alarm. Respond to 138 Martin Road. Smoke detector sounding. No smoker fire showing.
I think we can let the duty crew handle that for now.
You can always run up the street.
Literally.
I wouldn't make it to 138 Martin if I had to. You guys would.
Run to the truck.
Yeah, exactly. I need a scooter. I'm pushing myself up the street.
All right, so we're gonna keep that there.
For now.
Library cameras with sensors and panic button. Library renovation of basement.
I think we're having somebody come in at our meeting next Tuesday to talk about a six-digit thing instead of a seven-digit project. So, that might be holding. Right now.
So hold on that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. All right, library plaster paint, lead and asbestos tests.
Now, didn't
We
you-
changed that number. I was just
To
going to say that.
25 or something?
25,000, yes.
25,000?
Yes.
That's right, you
My
gave
bad.
us some advice, Al.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
So keep that.
Yeah, just changed it all.
DPS tractor and mower, that's the
School?
schools. DPS equipment, replacement, fitness equipment. Department of Public Schools LCD projectors. Painting of the gymnasium. Town Administrator Public Radio Safety System overhaul. Water and sewer, Gilboa Street 12-inch main. Water and sewer, North Street 16-inch main. Water and sewer system master plan. Main Street 12-inch water main to Franklin Street booster. Water and sewer mains 12-inch main from Booster to Rydell. Water and sewer 12-inch main from Rydell to Church. Water and sewer 8-inch main to connect loop on Northwest Main. Highway Bad Luck Pond Outlet Bridge, and there's a grant associated with that. And Davis Street 12-inch main, from Douglas High School to project site. And that's also possibly a grant.
That's not happening if there's no grant. Look at the price tag.
Sure.
And now we have one more, the,
And the senior
Senior
center,
center.
again, this is my bad, senior center, it was Patrice's number one priority, 24,000. And that was replace the rugs and
Carpet, right?
tiles. in
Carpet
this-
and tiles?
Yeah, I think there's, or carpet tiles, whatever she's calling them. She needs a new floor at the senior center.
Flooring.
All right, that works.
So she had project cost 24,000 with 825 from the Sunshine Club. So,
That was left over from the air conditioning thing.
yeah, so you want to leave it at 24,000?
I would.
Okay,
There's a dynamic there
Yeah.
on the initial quotes and prevailing wage and other things.
sure,
We need
okay.
a little buffer.
We also have stuff from the town clerk.
Yeah.
Voting machine, oh, you know what? At that whole meeting, because I was in and out,
That's right.
the
yeah.
voting machines for the town clerk, that's my bad.
You have the price tag in.
Yeah, I have one
I
here.
thought there were, I
Anything
thought it
the
was
clerk
like,
asked for
So
2020.
this is.
I think it was like 35,000.
It was. Yeah, 23,000 for voting machines. Here, you know what, Matt, I'll give you these three. These are hers. I found them.
And
That
there
was
was
her
the,
top priority, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna give them to Matt.
and there was also the vault for 300,
Vault,
right?
and then there
Yes.
The
was.
vote is fiscal '21.
Okay, so.
Okay,
So what the clerk requested for fiscal '20 is the voting machines at 23,000, and that was her number one. And the climate-controlled system, basically almost like a micro split for the storage room at 60,000.
And was that a one?
That was her number two priority.
Okay.
who else presented the same day as her? That was Patrice?
Was it Bill?
And Bill with the
It
bad
was.
luck, but that's on here, isn't it?
Yeah, I got that on there, because that,
Okay.
Well, Bill was just this other day.
Right.
That's on here.
Yeah.
I think that's everything.
yeah. All right, I am going to revise, while you guys are deliberating, I'm going to build the spreadsheet.
Oh,
Unless you need to resolve the
Cable.
holds.
But, oh, cable, although they pay for it, but
Yeah.
cable,
cable,
And that was the sound system in here?
right.
yeah. And cable,
Is that 15-ish?
16,889.
17.
Call it
System base.
17,000.
And they needed 1,000 from us, right? And they were gonna fund the rest with, if I
You
remember
have a better
correctly.
memory than I do.
Yeah, they need us to pony up for the ADA component. If you have his backup, there was a price for ADA.
Yeah, 999.
Is that everything? So it's 16,000, you said, John, for cable?
17.
17. Okay. So let's go to the top for the drone purchase. And we have must do, should do, could do, and nice to do.
Oh, so didn't I hold that?
no.
Oh.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
Did she? I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Yes.
So what I would say is, I think the majority here says, let's just give it a rate and see where it falls.
Well, can I just say why I wanted to hold it?
Sure.
That about a day after our meeting, there was a big article in the paper, and the paper always tells the truth. There was talking about the Oxford drone bit, and it sounded like it was more a regional thing that was needed, and that was what was happening. And then Southbridge came, they quoted the Southbridge Police Department saying, oh, and Southbridge is a much bigger town, with about 35,000 than Douglas is, that they couldn't afford something like that. And so that's what I'm coming from is thinking, well, we don't have to compete with the big guys. We are a small town, and it doesn't look like there are other small towns around under 10,000 that are doing this drone project, and that initially, not to rush into it, that we should use the regional availability documents proposal instead of just setting us up as doing it on our own. That's all I've got to say. So you can agree or disagree. So I vote I wanted to take it off.
Okay. Is there anybody else who feels that the drone should come off, or we should rank it?
I think we should rank it. I mean, as far as the public safety aspect of it, it would be a tremendous help to all of us. I mean, we've spent days in the state forest looking for people, looking for brush fires, looking for, you guys looking for criminals. We've come out with thermal imaging cameras trying to help the police department at night to find people the same way. So I think we should at least rank it.
Okay. How does everyone else feel?
I agree.
I agree as well.
I agree.
Okay. All right, so we'll rank it. I would feel that, well, you know what? I'm the chair, so I'm going to speak last and not try to persuade anybody. So, priority 1, 2, 3, or 4. What's the consensus?
1.
That it must do?
No, it's a 1. 4 is.
No, one is a must-do. It gets 4 points.
Don't you have this?
I do, but I thought I was
You can do it any way
voting
you
1
want. You
point.
can say how
I
many
was
points you want to
voting-
give it, or what priority.
No,
Just be
just
specific,
put-
that I can
yeah.
translate for
Yeah.
you.
Well, let's give it a
I wanted to
priority.
vote it
Let's
as a
do it as,
1.
let's do priority.
Priority. Matt can add up the numbers, the points. He knows what the points are for each one.
If you use the slang, it helps me. Nice to do is 1 point. Must do is 4.
Right.
I think I
think
understood
based-
Ellie to say she wants it to get 1 point.
Yes.
Correct.
I think based on the bullet point on could do, project will enable future improvements to service quality. It may fall under that.
I would agree to that.
So,
You're saying priority 3?
That's correct.
I could go with that.
Yeah.
I'm between 2 and 3, because I know how big the forest is out there, and with more people coming in during the summer, it becomes a problem out there. But I'll go with a 3.
I'll follow suit with that. Now, Matt, question on this is, are we gonna tally up? Or we have,
So I
6 of us
just
here.
wrote down all your votes. At the end of each item, let me feed back to you what I've got.
all right, that's fine. So we'll go right around.
Then I'm
who votes
calculating
what.
an average. And at the end, I'll show you how, I'll just stack your averages.
All right. So
then
basically, you
Gino-
want to hear us go right around what each person,
Well, I can,
or the
yeah.
consensus, and then if one's is a standout.
Because
or two.
I'm reading off my little spreadsheet and I went around where you're sitting. I had Ellie with 1 point, Shirley with 3, John with 3, Chairman 3, Brandon 3, Adam 3.
Correct.
You know what?
I think either you're getting confused again.
Yeah, you're saying points, but technically, priority 3 is 2 points, so
Oh, all right.
what do we do? Maybe we should do the points.
Should stay with the points, it would make
Yeah.
it easier.
Well, it does make my
It makes
life.
his
Yeah.
job easier. Let's,
So how many points did everybody give it? Everybody gave it 2 points.
2,
points,
except Ellen.
correct.
Yeah.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah.
It's close between, I think that's what Shirley was saying. I'm the same way.
All right, so we
Sorry.
got that one.
Yep.
Discuss that. Can we discuss it?
Backup generator for municipal center.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Can we just discuss further, if it's appropriate? I just read priority 2 on that project. Project is necessary to prevent the onset of a likely health or safety hazard or alleviate an existing threat of significant or repairable damage to public property. Do you think it's more appropriate to put the drone under a priority 2 of 3 points? Based on that bullet?
See, that's where I
because
have
it's-
I was
a
on the line
problem.
too.
It's right on the line between that and enabling future improvements to our service quality to the town. So I would,
Yeah, I would say this one hovers between the two.
That's where I was. I could go with priority 2, which would be 3 points. Not saying that it may get there to be done, but
Well,
you do have a,
I would say I could be persuaded to go to a 2 as well, only because,
No, Brandon brings up a good point.
an example of that would be, we had 2 children missing. We had no idea whether they were in the water or whether they were lost in the woods. So from a public safety standpoint, I have to assume the worst and work backwards. And that would
Do
be a
have
tool.
access to this,
But that's coming from a distance. That's coming from
but
15 to
it's
20
there.
minutes away.
It's not like we don't have it at all.
Correct.
but again, maybe there could be some kind of a joint town thing, I don't know. But then again, we may end up, there's so many towns, and if they're involved with it, then there is a problem because it may be somewhere else.
And that's a good point.
So I could go, there, I was between the priority 2 and priority 3, and I'll go with the 2,
Yeah, I hate to
which is 3 points.
mess up Matt, but I'm going to go that way as well. Priority 2. Sorry, Matt.
3 points, right?
Same here.
I'll change mine, 3 points.
I stay at 1.
So I was right the first time.
Yeah, you were. We were all confused, but yes.
Sorry, I didn't lead that. I
I think it's just
shut
a
up.
matter of getting used to the new system and.
So we're going,
Exactly.
we're going with points.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, points.
Zero points.
Okay.
All right. So can we just say must do, should do, and know that those are 4 and 3 points, and then could do and,
You say the points.
If you, like I say, if you use the slang, I can translate points easily.
Just
It's when
keep
you-
the slang
Just-
together.
We need to know, yeah, we need to know what's being put down.
Like I say, at the end of each item, I'll read back to you what I'm scoring it, so
Yeah.
you can confirm us what your
Good.
vote was.
Okay.
all right, so we got 3 points on the drone. Now, backup generator from municipal center.
I'll do a should do.
I'm right with you, Ellie.
I will go with them.
I look at it as the 911 system, we lose power.
Well, that's where
That could cripple you.
priority 1.
Yeah.
That's
and
where I would
says
lean.
alleviates an emergency service disruption or deficiency.
So if we shut this building down, including downstairs,
Yeah.
this
so-
is a must-do at that point.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
If this building is shut down with no PD.
I can go
no-
back.
no-
I can do
No
4.
dispatches.
Just the cost of equipment that we have between the police department and up here.
It's 4 for me.
Yeah, I'll do a 4.
I'm still at 3.
For me as well.
Because our generator is still working right now?
Just the police department, we don't have one here.
Okay.
So
4 as well for me, Matt.
And this is points.
Okay, we're cooking with gas.
Generator.
Building replace post office AC.
When's that contract?
it's the-
I would
I would say-
give that a 2
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah.
could do as well.
Yeah.
Could do.
Yeah,
can
I mean,
go
it
with that.
maintains the service, it's not gonna change anything, it's not gonna add to it. It's basically, it's gonna save me money, like last year I spent $9,000 just keeping it maintained, when the whole thing's $50,000 to do it in 1 year, I've spent $9,000 to keep it going.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could do is definitely something, like I said, until we till we have the funds, or if it breaks down, then we have no choice to do it, so.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works.
So we're all on a 2. Ellie, are you?
So that's the could do?
Yeah.
Could do.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, replace DPD AC unit.
So, for information for you to consider, the town's competitive, so that we're not entitled to this money, green communities. We got our designation grant, that was our entitlement. Now we have to compete. Our filing for that includes 4 projects. It's called the heat pump.
Yeah.
So it's imagine the same system that was just installed at the library, installed for the police department. So there's 1 compressor or 2 compressors. They feed into the air conditioning units in each individual workspace of the police department, and each individual workspace would have a thermostat. So the creature comforts of home, but also that would eliminate, and we would do the demo on the electric heating system that's on the wall, exterior walls only. That is one of the projects, because by their fancy payback, it qualifies. Now, whether we win the competition or not, I don't know. We have applied for a $261,244 grant.
261,000.
261,244. There would be utility incentives, so that's 11,000 over the maximum project cap, so the most we could get is 250. So what, if we want to leverage this package, we need 11 plus about 5,000 for the grant writers' administration of this. We use CMRPC because they are actually very good. And then Bill doesn't have, and I don't have to write these
Yeah.
strenuous reports. $5,000. So we would be going to town meeting and asking for 16,000 to leverage $250,000 worth of projects. And that's the police station heat pump, the weatherization of this building, so we would do, the windows are fairly new, but we'd be weatherizing the doors and taking care of some of the drafty portions of the building. The Douglas Primary School, we would convert the lights there to LEDs. And also at the primary school, they have a water heater that's,
Yep. Iffy.
the dinosaurs used to use it. We would be replacing that. The payback on that's ridiculously short. So those are the 4 projects that we would if the grant funded it, we would only need 16. I'm going to ask Jean
All
exactly
told.
how she wants to do that, whether she wants to put that in its own article. It might be much cleaner. But in terms of your voting and ranking, just know that we're not on the hook here for the whole.
And if we don't get it,
If we don't get it, that would be the question. I guess that's the. Do you do contingent articles? We wouldn't. That's no certainty.
no,
We
but
wouldn't get
on
closure.
some of these, you said, no, we, like the 1,750,000, if you don't get the grant, then forget it.
Trying to find where's the.
We could always
That's the last thing.
reapply for this after one,
We could reapply next year,
so
or put it on capital for next year. If we, I think that's kind of, that's the risk of doing the grant. Is that if you don't get it, then you definitely don't do the project that year. Now, having said that, you should rank it anyway, see where you come out.
So it sounds to me like we're flipping a coin and it's more like a could do.
So look at look how the things are under the could do or priority 3. The project is required to maintain basic services in the 2 to 5 year time frame. So, yeah.
Reduces future operating cost.
And
You know.
it provides new expanded service that causes net increase in operating costs. Does it fit there?
So make sure we have all the information on the table.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
Yeah.
at Adam.
Yeah.
That compressor that runs the air conditioning for downstairs is on, is,
Yeah, that one's gonna, it's not long for life. That's gonna go, the one
we
that's
can't
there
find
now.
parts for it.
Yeah, that one's on its way out. That was from 1992 when they moved in? That was original from there.
So what
Who knows
happens?
before?
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
So I'm looking at this side of the table, what happens if you don't have air conditioning?
You
in
now have no air conditioning to cool off your 911 server. You now have no air conditioning at all, which right now, the only reason that's getting cooled off is a box fan and a door open, because there is nothing in the 911 server room. You'll have no air conditioning in the police station at all. And then that also ties into your heat, which is the air handler. You know, so you probably end up with, you'll have no AC and you'll have to adjust your air handler in order to, if the air conditioner unit breaks down. So I
That's
mean,
that's
and-
what's on the table here.
Something else to consider with that is, you have prisoners in there.
Correct.
And a lot of times they have medical problems, and that could just really open you up to a lot of liability, quite honestly.
Does any of this, Matt, rank with the payback within 10 years for net of grant funds?
So
That's what I was
when we
trying to-
assembled the grant, the idea was to have all competitive projects in here. All the stuff at the school pay back
Huge.
very fast.
Yeah.
The weatherization for this building pays back very fast. This heat pump is a little on the pricey side. It's 80, it'll be 80, I'm gonna round up to the nearest thousand, 87,000. Remember, I'm a critic of how they do this payback stuff because they fail to take into account everything else that's going on around it. So they look at that compressor and they compare it to the heat pump, and all they're doing is looking at the numbers. So how much electricity will it use compared to our existing compressor, compared to the electric heating system? It does pay back. It pays back in 19 years. They don't consider the 911 station. They don't consider,
They don't consider the maintenance alone,
yeah,
just on what I have to keep that
keeping the
running.
pipes warm. They don't, that's not part of what they do when they do payback. Just like at the library, I know we're going to save way more money than they said we will, because we did them together. We did the heat pump and the weatherization. So you made the building tight at the same time you get a more efficient heater and cooler. It's going to be, it's a geometric effect, not arithmetic, and they don't capture that. And it's,
So, a should do?
That's where I'm gonna kind of go with, I should do.
Me too.
I would agree, I should do 3 points.
I'll agree.
Should do.
Okay, we're skipping over the main roof of the building, of this building, the municipal center, and the rooftop HVAC, and we're going right into highway, replace 1,000 feet of sidewalk, and I think, Ella, you put a
Yeah.
hold on that.
I'm not a fan of sidewalks. So, that's, well, there's none by my house. You know, and I just don't believe in them, so.
Okay.
So probably everybody else does agree with it. So I'll probably rank that as a 1.
All right, so, John, what's your opinion, being the,
I would score this as a could do.
okay, done.
I'd like to change that, honestly. The project is necessary to prevent the onset of a likely health hazard or safety hazard. And that safety hazard right there, if you look at some of our sidewalks, they're buckling, they're lifting, it's eroded away. I know I bring up Ronnie Curtis a lot. Ronnie Curtis walks here, he scares the death out of me, walking on these sidewalks, and he deserves to walk, and I'm glad every day he walks. But if he has a trip and a fall or any lawsuit or anything like that, to me, this is a should do. It really is.
this is 1,000 feet on Main Street. Did you have exactly what 1,000 feet you would do?
We walked it, this several bad areas. It would be mixed.
Mixed in.
For now,
This is-
because there's so many bad areas.
Roughly from,
From White Avenue, heading up towards West Street on either side. It would be the worst sections first. I know that's not the best way to do it, but we haven't had the financing to do it for many years, and that's to the point we're at now. There's some real bad areas from White Avenue down to like Bowen Court. Then you can jump either side, and you'll see if you walk the sidewalks what our concern is.
So, in looking at that, I know, Adam, you put as a should do, but if you hop over the priority one, the must do, the second bullet down is liability binding on the town. So, you mentioned the word liability, so.
I know, and that's,
but to be clear about what that bullet point means, it means
We're in litigation.
we're basically convicted.
Yeah.
We either have a court order to do it, or we have a notice of violation from some higher authority, or a lawsuit we know we can't defend because we've
So
looked at the...
I would say, for me, it would be a should do then, it would be a 3. That's what I'm scoring.
Reading the paragraph that Adam just read to me, yeah, he's right. And I should have done should do
I'm
as
sorry.
well.
You're saying 3 points?
That's correct.
I will go with that.
I'll go with the should do 3 points as well.
Chief?
I gave it a 3.
So I have everybody at a 3 and Ellie at a 1.
Correct.
Okay. Next.
Highway, various reclaim and repave roads, 210,000.
Is that all
so this is chapter
Chapter
9,
90?
correct? Is this-
Right? I asked
Yeah,
Joan
that's
that
your
already.
Yes,
All right, so but to put the fly in the ointment,
we,
the Chapter 90 money is oversubscribed. Could be oversubscribed. So I guess there's also a question here about how do we want to mix the funding?
So are we talking snow and ice?
no.
So
Chapter 9.
Pavement.
the what everybody is euphemistically calling the Bad Luck Pond Outlet Culvert
Cedar Street
is the
Bridge.
Cedar Street Bridge,
Right.
also known as the bridge over the River Kwai. And we got a grant for $500,000. That's, it's there.
Done. Yeah,
It's
there.
done. But that's nowhere near enough to fix the bridge if the abutments have gone juicy.
And I'll be honest, I believe the abutments aren't sufficient to support a new bridge.
So the engineering and other, we're going from putting a span bridge to putting a box culvert in. It's a more complicated project, yada, yada, yada. So this could end up being as big as it's disclosed in this form, 950,000. We can't go forward with the project, we can't take the grant if we don't find a funding source. So we're jumping ahead a little bit, but this is kind of the dynamic. Do you want to use the Chapter 90 funds, which are 368 and change, and I'll, absolutely assure 210 of it for road paving, or do you want to commit it as a match? Or do you
Get
want to
the
ask
bridge
town
work
meeting?
done. Right.
You want to ask town meeting for the money for the roads or for the bridge, and use the 90 funds in the alternative?
I'd hate to give back a $500,000 grant to the state,
Yeah.
but my roads are in very poor shape, and I'd like to pave every one of them. We've done so much bridge work in the last 10 years, it's over $1.5 million. That's why the roads are where we are today, So,
Again, in an attempt to put more and more facts on the table, what is our understanding of traffic usage of Cedar Street Bridge? And how about emergency response?
well, to get to that side of town, it changes things. If there's an emergency up that way, I mean, we can go up Church Street by Ellie's house and around, or if we want to make a quicker attempt to get up to Wallace Road, we go up Webster Street, much higher speed limit to get onto Cedar and go around.
For the police, I think that would be hard if you're at the end of Webster Street. You know, you guys often sit on the end of Webster Street or towards the main gate. If you had a call on Wallace, now you're coming down to Main Street, hooking it and going back up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, we were closed for 8 months at one point. That was a long 8 months.
Yeah, any complaints?
How long would you, well, it doesn't matter because you've got the grant, so. It's a
It's
basically
waste of my time or your time
Well,
for
it's
me to ask my
basically
question, so.
going to take away the paving funds again, and that's what the concern is. You know, we'd have to figure out one way or another to have it funded a different way. Either we fund the rest of the bridge, or we fund extra paving.
Well, what rating do you give the two
Yeah,
projects?
so-
The higher rated project
Gets the-
gets the funds, and you go to town meeting for the rest, or
But
do
in a
you want
matter of 2 years, Matt, we gave that life, they gave that bridge a 10-year
Yeah.
life, and that's in less than 2 years now. So you're going to do it regardless, now or in 2 years.
or just never fix it and close the road?
Yeah,
Exactly,
which-
that's your,
If that's not an option at all, then
That's not an option, in my opinion.
okay.
That's not an option.
And we have got the grant.
and you have.
It's already
The
been
grant has
awarded.
been awarded,
So, I
we've gotten
mean-
Yeah,
letters.
we need to do it, then we need to use the, need to use the grant.
We're not in any position to turn back money, I'm
No.
sorry. We all.
Yeah, why would we do that?
We all
Yeah.
feel that way.
Just,
No,
Yeah, I know, it's very tough.
But I understand it's frustrating for John, too, because
Well, I mean, trust me, I get calls every day. Like I told a guy yesterday, I want to pave every road. I honestly do. I really do. I just need the funding, you know, so.
the other way to look at this, though, is that, you have 368, you've asked for 210 for roads.
So you don't do all the roads at once.
Well, no,
No,
you
that
allocate
isn't
210
even-
for the roads, 168 goes to the bridge, and we have to close the gap on the bridge
It's a little easier.
with a capital request at town meeting. To close that gap. If you rank it high enough. And you kind of, that's the problem with grants, is it kind of becomes a, I hate to use French words, but fait accompli, right? It's a done deal. That's the word I was looking for, the phrase. It's a done deal because you got the 500,000. So you're doing a project that you may not have ranked very high, but you're doing it because you're getting it for free, or a lot of money towards it. That you don't want to have to go to town meeting and ask for $1 million for
Oh.
this bridge.
No.
it's the same as, basically, we wouldn't turn down the truck to replace his, too.
Right.
You're not gonna turn that money away. So it's almost like we have to score, in my opinion, we have to score the bridge a must-do,
yeah.
and just to get the money, and then we'll,
But
sort
we've
of like
already
falling
gotten
down a mountain. You plant 1 foot at a time and hope you don't go down.
Well, again, I think the bridge falls under the list for priority 1 of 4 points,
Well, if you
right?
can't get to an emergency because you gotta go around,
Yeah,
that's a problem.
yeah.
I mean, I remember writing a letter
Right.
attesting to that fact back then, in order to get
Yeah.
the repairs done.
Get the
So
temporary.
Nothing's changed, really, but now they're offering to give us $500,000.
And again, it falls under like alleviates and emergency service disruption or deficiency.
And that would disrupt, so.
Yeah.
To me, that's a 4.
And again, it's a complete thing.
So we wanna hop down, score the bridge a 4, and then score,
Yeah,
I'll score it a 3 and a 3.
okay.
well, I'm
So
going
Bad Luck Pond Bridge,
4 for me.
must do.
4 is
4 points.
Same here.
12 points for me also.
Now we come back to this.
4 points as well.
So to summarize, on the bridge, it's 4 from everybody and the 3 from Ellie.
Yep.
Now we come back and we score, let's score,
The road.
The
roads.
highway, yep, which is at 210 course, 210,000.
in my opinion, we gotta at least give it a should do.
Absolutely, because,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm good with that. That's 3.
good.
I am also.
I would agree.
3,
3 points.
Ellie?
I already said my vote.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, I just don't want you to be left out.
I will not be left out.
Okay. I'll mind my own
Ellie's
business.
very vocal.
All right.
Does everyone have 3 on the roads?
Correct.
All right, so the next one's portable radios, 25,000 for, I had it as a priority 1, but now I have a question, and Matt, you could probably answer it, but it's one of those, okay, we've got the whole radio system. I suppose it's really the same way. We got to score them both. We score the 15, which is the balance of portable radios to go high band. But we also have Matt's project of police, fire, and highway
Yeah,
overhaul of the whole radio system,
yeah.
which those portables would get replaced in that. So I guess we got to more or less score both of them and just sort of look at it the same way we did the bridge versus.
And where is it, where are they located? I mean, the 2 different projects?
Yeah, the portable radios.
I
and then
I know
the
where that is.
Town
yeah.
administrator public safety radio system overhaul.
Okay.
That one.
So portable radios is in the town administrator's public thing, so
Correct.
That would
It's a
be part
double.
of.
That was,
The portable radios for the fire department would be included in the town administrator's project.
Correct. So, Matt, would it make sense to score yours first?
the overhaul?
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation was to just take yours off.
That's
Yeah.
what it's all.
Yeah.
Into the one.
That's what I'm trying to get
It's the
to.
piecemealing of this is why we're in the conundrum we're in.
All right.
okay.
All right, so I guess we should have caught that when we did the holds. I should have. All right, so let's take that right off.
Everybody's agreeable, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to skip over the ambulance. We're talking about that after, Matt?
Well, you can talk about it now because we're
Is this
plowing
where we
through the
pull
list.
Jean in?
I think the,
I want her to be able to finish what she needs to do for the rest of your meeting without interrupting her.
Do you want to save this for last?
Well, I can explain it, I think. I mean,
Okay.
So the ambulance, it's another one of these, it comes across as a done deal. It's $100,000 from the General Assembly. The contract is already signed, so the town is in possession of the $100,000. It was an earmark, though, for public response, and this was done. The state budget takes longer to do than the town budget. So at the time that the request was made to the legislative delegation, we didn't have a town meeting vote to buy an ambulance. Then they voted it after because none of the ambulances worked, so the town meeting voted yes on the $240,000 for the first ambulance, and it was purchased almost immediately, second week of July, really, because it was all ready to go. Procurement was done. By law, the units had been rated, so we just entered into the agreement to buy it right after town meeting, after the change of the fiscal year. Then here comes the General Assembly saying, we give you $100,000. But we'd already obligated the funds. So the way these rules work, we were out of luck scoring the $100,000 against the $240 because we'd already paid the bill, because we needed the ambulance. And it was a cash, we didn't finance that. So now we have $100,000 and we have a second ambulance that stinks, doesn't work. Well, when it doesn't run well. But now we have half of it paid for. So the notion is we would go and ask for anything left over. So remember, Jean's been talking about accounts to close out from prior capital projects.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest chunk of that is the money we didn't spend on the small plows.
Yeah.
There's about 18 there or whatever it was. Sum all of that up, because it's not new money, so-called new money, is not going back for more.
It's unspent.
It's unspent funds, and then
From
she's
previous
at like
capital items,
59 for that. So we're at about 159. We would ask for the rest from free cash.
Okay.
And do it this fiscal year
So it's FY 19, not 2020.
19, not 20. So it doesn't go into your 20 rankings, but just so that you all know, as a capital committee, I mean, we need to know, do you support that plan? Because we'll be asking the people at special town meeting on May 6th. The town meeting everybody forgets about, that's before the big town meeting. The house cleaning one, where one of the house cleaning items is whatever balance we don't cover from the 100,000 and the closeouts, we would cover with free cash.
And that free cash is under FY '19.
It's available for appropriation in fiscal 19. It's actually 18 money,
Okay.
right?
We would be crazy not to take the 100,000. I mean,
Of course.
crazy, not,
Yeah.
you know, if we can definitely have that, I'm 100% in support of it.
Other facts I like to have on the table, so I'll ask a question rather than put it up there. Because A2 wasn't running this year, you think you lost how much revenue?
We from January to now, we've lost between probably 20 and 30 second medicals that we weren't able to cover a second ambulance with. Revenue-wise, if you say let's call it 25, you're talking about $50,000 in revenue. You add that onto the fact that somebody waited for an ambulance longer than they should have, that's what you have.
And you took A2 off the road because,
Because anytime I would put a patient in it, then I would get trouble lights that put people in peril as far as I'm concerned. If you have a critical patient and you're broke down on the side of the road, so I would say all day long, it meets a must-do, because
Yeah, but this is fiscal year 19.
no, I was just trying to get the facts on
I'm
the table.
I'm just trying to put a,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, no, that's fine, but we should not include it in
Right.
this year's
Correct.
2020.
I agree with that, absolutely.
That it's going to be,
but I also, what I think Matt's trying to do is trying to paint the picture of what revenue was lost and what type of a,
Liability the truck
put the
is.
town put the patients in peril and exposes us to liability.
well, I think what Matt did, which is better in I don't like the emotional end of conversations, but is that he has stated how we will fund this in fiscal year 19. And
I agree.
I'm supportive of that.
Okay,
And that's all he was asking, I
Okay,
think.
no,
Yeah, no, I was just trying to establish a record of why we are getting a second ambulance to begin with.
but I want to be on record that it's not an emotional aspect, it's a fact. That when you have people on the side of the road that are already sick.
Yeah, no, but
I'm not trying to be emotional.
support funding this in FY 19.
Right, I totally get it, Ellie, but I wanted to be on record to say, we're not trying to paint a doom and gloom, we're talking facts. So,
So getting back to this, and I don't know why, but when we went around the table, we went through the thing, I think we had all agreed to take it off, and underneath I had notes, discuss the 2019 budget, which we have just done.
Yep.
So it's off,
Correct.
Yeah.
so we don't have to.
We don't,
and it's FY19, so.
Yeah,
When this item does come up, though, at
We
special
know.
town meeting, you will be called upon, perhaps the chief will be, or members of the committee, to explain why it's there.
Yeah.
That's why we had the discussion, you're familiar with it.
thank you.
And we were still trying to figure out what the story was with that 100,000, which is why we put it on, because we knew we needed that second ambulance. We just didn't have that, technically
You
have
want
that.
me to do this, don't you?
What?
I wasn't able to get our legislators to successfully explain how to obtain the funds. And that was a courtesy to them. They got it in the budget, and I was like, okay, so how do we get the money? And for months, I waited for a response, and then it was a totally inadequate response. So we called, and we got it in
Thank you.
a day.
And that was not,
Thank you.
that was not Wallam Lake money.
No.
No.
It was-
So that balance has
very
not
nice.
been used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just asked them and they got it. So that's good.
No,
No.
They-
We had to call the Department of Public Safety at
No,
state.
no, but you asked our legislators to.
And they got it, yes, yeah.
So
No, they
they-
deserve credit for that. They worked-
Absolutely,
They
they
worked
do.
for it and they got
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
and I'm
absolutely
glad
they
that you
do.
did it.
yeah.
In my opinion, it's just the red tape of the state and having to chase your tail to try to, you gotta be persistent, otherwise.
I'm a constituent service snob. It's what I did for 12 years for a senator and a governor. And when somebody calls you with a fairly simple question, how do I work this? 24 hours later, get the answer to them. Don't make them wait for their money. So we had to ask for an extension on the contract because we waited for so long for an explanation of how to navigate. Our concern was, so we don't sound like dummies, is we didn't want a reimbursement situation. Because then we would have had to buy the ambulance and go through the paperwork of getting the 100 back. And the Commonwealth is doing that more and more. We wanted to know that it was free to, the money, the cash would be free to us. Once we got it, we could use it for the purchase, not for reimbursement. It was a valid question, and we never got an answer. I was like, come on.
Right.
All right.
Good job.
We've kicked it to
thank you.
So enough with that. All right, so, the next one is utility truck with plow for the fire department. And that, I have that down as 50,000.
I'd say it's a nice to do, a 1.
Okay? I would make it a 2.
Yeah, I would say it could do 2.
I'll agree to that.
Would also agree with the 2 points on that.
Adam, pickup truck for fire department.
Okay.
Ellie put a nice to do, I put a could do, and
I did a could do.
Could do.
And I did a could
I'll do a could do also.
yeah, 2 points.
I just takes me a second to read over the, try to learn them.
next one, HVAC for fire station, 45,000.
Could have, something like that be a Green Communities Act thing?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it absolutely, that would,
They rated your building,
yeah.
Okay.
so we would have to go revisit this. Obviously, it's too late. Yesterday was the deadline, so it wouldn't make it this year's grant round. So we're talking fiscal '21.
Hopefully with that, they do a weatherization and, because that
Yeah.
would be really well, and you could gain a lot with it.
Unfortunately, I think when they do that, the conclusion's going to be your windows
Yeah.
are the wrong size for the perforations. You're going to need new windows.
Yeah. It's like a wrong, made the wrong type of window, honestly.
Yeah.
From day one, they've leaked from day one.
They whistle. The windows that whistle, like you hear them all the time, yeah.
Yeah.
It's worse than yours downstairs.
Oh,
And it's just weird because they were new like that.
All right, so Adam, you're in more of a, in dealing with buildings, so I'm gonna look for some guidance from you on that, just because, I would say it's a could do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's,
No, it's definitely a could do, and I'm hoping, with, like Matt, with the next round, we can get the fire station on here, and we'll try to take as much money as we can from these green communities grants.
I will just say, my only comment would be, is there's not another building in town that doesn't have AC.
No,
And the fire guys, they're 24/7.
and I feel you need more than just AC. Like I said, I think you need weatherization, and that's gonna save, it pays for itself by fixing the windows or weatherizing the windows and, adjusting that, and then having AC put in, the cost
I think
will be,
it's more, I think this quote was more along the lines of what the library got, was the heat pump versus AC. So down the line, I mean, I think something, it's important, but I would say, for me, it's a could do.
For the Green Communities Act, do they ask for input from committees like us? If we make it contingent on grant or something like that? Or should we?
If you're asking my opinion, I think that this is a worthy project. I would think that we should look at the way the space is configured upstairs and how it's open to the bay below. There's pros and cons to closing that off. In terms of creature comforts for people who are there 24/7 and trying to catch a one eye open, in a 90-degree August night. That's one thing, but then do you need to be open to the base to hear what's going on, or there might be more to this than just putting a heat pump and a compressor. It might be a false wall and different ways of getting in and out of that space and making sure we follow the fire code for that space.
When the building was built, it was strictly a call.
It was a call
It's
system.
totally changed in 20 years, so.
You could, we haven't locked down your budget yet. I mean, if you need a new window unit for the time being, we could put that in the operational budget for a couple $100 and resolve part of that.
That's what we've done at this point. We've just put in the rollaways and stuff like that, but just
I
trying to
think the
look more toward the
rollaways are
future.
kind of like, it's a noise that make you think you're getting cooler.
Yeah, I would not disagree with
I
that.
agree with that.
So, but we can talk about that, Chief, in the operational budget. I don't know
That's fine.
where you stand on. But let's just do a rating so we can move on, I
Yeah,
think.
we can.
Chief said a 2.
I'm on a 2 also, 2 points.
Yep, I had that.
I'll be a 2 as well.
2.
I'll be a 2.
I'll join the group, finally.
Okay. We skip over the next 2, the engines. Replace roof, 50,000. I'll give you I would say it'd be nice to do on this one personally.
No,
It's
we're-
on the record.
It's on the record, I don't think you're there yet.
I'm not. I
You know,
honestly don't feel that.
And, like I said, at this point, I think it's a nice to do. It's getting closer, but I haven't seen anything that warrants us to have to do it at this point.
Same with me.
And I'd still like a quote for a metal roof, which would go right over the existing roof. You wouldn't strip what you have.
Okay.
I will go with the nice to do, 1
Okay.
I'll be a nice to do as well.
So Ellie, I'm going to assume that you're a 1 there?
Yeah, I did say 1, but I also want a quote
Yep.
for metal roof.
You know, what we do here is we bring the roof into the discussion of the heat pump, because if I recall correctly, you're not properly insulated.
Yeah.
You've got one corner of the building, you don't have anything.
That's the meeting room, right?
Correct, yeah. We'd have to figure out why it's like that. Like I said, weatherization, insulation.
Is that a truss roof or is that sticks?
I'm pretty sure it is.
I think it's a truss.
Me too.
So that will be an important part of the feasibility of a metal roof, is how much weight.
That's what I found out with the highway salt shed. I went looking into it, and I called the companies. You both sent me companies, I called them. But neither one would commit to putting it on because it's a lightweight truss roof, and if it's not a solid beam or...
What's truss?
It's the lightweight, small... Prefab roof, so they're made to be lightweight. But neither one would put a metal roof on our salt shed because without having it engineered and assured that it will hold the weight of a metal roof, they wouldn't commit for a price.
Where they
So-
intersect, Ellie,
Yeah.
it's basically a metal plate that's only a 1/4 inch thick where it's just, they stamp it in and it holds it together with just prongs.
Yeah.
It's not really nailed.
And your barns are built way better than...
So if one of them fails, the whole roof fails.
See, my barn garage has a truss roof but believe me, that thing is built.
Yeah, yeah, they were.
Part of the water tank that was down at the Haywood
Oh, wow.
land. Okay. But that is not so-called metal, it's an aluminum roof.
Yeah, and that's what we used to have,
Yeah.
which it was caca.
No, it works well. But,
And that's what's on your highways roof.
yeah,
yeah.
but my house is a metal roof.
Yeah,
And it was okay to have the shingles left
yep.
that were
Yeah.
on there, because the metal, Adele looked and questioned, because the people putting it on thought that was going to have to come off, but when she researched the weight of the
Correct.
metal roof, she said, no, you're okay.
And with
She
this,
told
with
me.
our salt shed roof, I had taken pictures of it and sent them off, and we had a lot of communication back and forth. He's like, the only way I could put a metal roof on this would be to lay plywood down first, which adds weight, and then I'd have to put metal on top of it. He says, right now, you just have metal sheets laying on top of truss roof with 1x3s.
Is that the one I gave you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was they were very nice, both of them. They were very great, they were very nice people. It just, they all had concerns and questions I
Right.
couldn't answer, you
You
know?
still have his?
Yes, I still have all his
Okay, so,
contact.
And did
Yeah.
you, I talked to Buzz Ballou, and he gave me another one, which
Okay.
Shirley said wasn't the one that she used, but it's,
Well, can we move on? We already rated it a
Sure.
1, so let's go
Yep.
past the roofs.
Right. You can give him that later.
East Coast Metal Roofing.
Yeah, that's, I didn't know that one.
Okay.
I looked-
Engine bay floors, I have $20,000. That's a quote. It's just there. They need some help. There's a lot of traffic, trucks coming in and out.
Is that gonna be like a slip resistant?
That's what I would like.
That's
yeah.
really what it should be now with this OSHA stuff, and the more you learn, you know, it's smooth paint isn't your friend really, unfortunately.
I'd do it too.
You know what? I'm thinking the same thing.
Probably it could do, too.
I'll do it too.
Same.
Same here.
Next one's a highway, replacing 1996 International dump with plow and sander. There's a grant. For me, that's a 4. Must do.
So just so everybody understands, the alternatives here, you'd be putting money onto the capital request sufficient to replace the 96, no matter what. The grant application asks for enough money that 198 would be used as a match to justify the state giving us the total cost of another truck. So it was a 50-50 play. So if town meeting approves the 100% purchase of the 96 and the grant is awarded, we would use the 198 as a match for 2 trucks. But no matter what happens, if this gets into the capital budget, the highway department would get 1, no matter what. So everybody's clear on how that, it just happens that the cost structure of these trucks is such that the portion that's eligible for the grant is exactly half of the cost of the truck. So if you leverage 2, with the grant program, you end up, if you leverage 1, you end up getting 2.
That's a no-brainer.
That's why I gave it a 4.
I'm giving it a 3. I think 4 is more extreme than what you're,
Yeah, just because you have a funding source shouldn't
Yeah.
bias how you look at the need of it. But what you're rating here really is the need to replace the 96. And maybe John and I can go through that. John can talk about operationally.
Yeah, operationally, I mean, we're spending a lot of money on the truck to keep it on the road. Right now, it needs a $5,000 front end. If we're gonna keep it, I need to put another $5,000 in it for kingpins and tie rod ends and drag links, and so to me, it's a must-do because it's a very important part of my operations in the winter. Yeah, in the summer, we have the smaller trucks and we do what we do, but this is one of 6 that does the town, and Yeah, as far as sanding, salting.
I look at it as it alleviates an emergency service disruption or deficiency when it's a snowstorm.
How about
When it's snowing sideways and you can't keep up and you're down a truck,
so
it gets ugly.
a threat to health or safety? And the only reason I'm bringing that up, didn't we have this tested? This is the truck we had tested.
So we had all, the 3 oldest trucks all tested. The town has a 96 and 2 2001s. The 2001s were bad. The 96 was really bad.
As far as emissions in the garage,
Yeah.
or putting out pollution. That's the whole reason behind the grant.
Yeah. They basically said, don't start the truck in the garage, which we have no choice to start the truck in the garage. We don't have a ventilation system. We have none of that, so.
And it's documented. That's the reason they're replacing them. So it's a documented threat to health and safety and a disruption
The service.
of an emergency service. Well, I mean, and that's the other thing. If you're plowing roads and now we have an ambulance call and they're a quarter mile in the woods, a driveway, you need that road plowed to get at some. We've had that.
We had to do it.
And so, it all, to me, it's a 4.
I'm gonna agree, I'll make it a 4 as well.
Same.
Same here?
I'm just curious about, we've got good scoring, good items under each priority. And I hear what you're saying about emergency services, but also, there are, it falls under quite a few of the points under should do. But then again, will it have enough points to, so I'm
That's the
caught
game I'm
between-
keeping you from playing, by not showing you the spreadsheet. You gotta
Yeah, right,
rate
I
each
keep on looking,
project,
oh, the screen's off.
Because it does,
each project individually,
Yeah,
and how
right.
you feel about that one. And
Yeah, and you have to remember, these are all safety people over here, so it's sort of a conflict of interest for them to be voting on these particular things.
yeah, but when we
I've
can't
mentioned
get
that
out
in
of
the
our
past,
roads
but-
and we need somebody there is the other
Been on
issue.
notice saying that we shouldn't even be on this board, honestly, and they should have outside people to do this.
Well, yeah,
But you
but
can't
where
get
are the
them to-
outside people?
And
I agree with
I take the other extreme. I disagree with that because I think we're in the best position to present the facts.
But
It's like when we talk about solar farms. Well, why is grass okay versus? Because I want to be able to get there under the worst type circumstances because that's my job. And until you've actually been put in that position,
Well, is Shirley finished yakking yet?
I'm not yakking, I'm just pointing
I
out
know you
the
were.
items.
No,
that
I
are
gave it a
listed.
3, so.
so I see where you are, Shirley.
I mean, we have this and, but we do have the grant thing, so I don't want to lose that either. I'll go with a 4.
You got there. She got there. Got to the 4.
so I had everybody at
What
a
did
4
everyone
and
else
Ellie
do?
at a 3. Everybody else, I said.
All right, highway, replace 1996 bag mower, $14,000.
Is this for where?
This will, since we took over the ball field several
Okay,
years
so,
ago,
yeah.
it'll mow ball fields, municipal squares.
Yeah,
some
common.
The big common. Yeah.
Is it not working right now?
It is running on a shoestring. It's a 96.
Yeah.
Gets used a ton.
23.
And it's more than just using a riding lawnmower. It's a 60-inch mower that can make some time,
Yeah.
Because when it's prime growing season, I have one guy mowing all the time, between ball fields and here and what have you.
I'll give it a 2.
I'm going to give it a 2.
I'll follow suit.
Sure. 2.
Me also.
Tablets used in police cruisers.
So I'm going to assume Brandon's a 2 there?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
How old are these radios, these computers now?
These tablets are approximately, I'm gonna guess, approximately five years old.
Yeah, they 5+ years old and outdated.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I'm gonna say these are probably a should do, but I want more information from you, Brandon. You're a police officer.
Correct.
What do you use these for? How do they fit into what you do every day?
Right, well, we use them, mainly for communicating with our dispatch, IMC. We can also use them for panic alarms for, if the officer gets into any trouble. IMC has the ability to send an alert. These computers have IMC on them in the cruisers. We use them to run plates. If I stop a vehicle, I'd like to know who and what I'm stopping before I get out of the cruiser. It's vital for that. I don't know what I'm getting myself into. So it's nice to see rapidly what I may be encountering. So they're used for that purpose. Like we said, they're about 5+ years old. I do maintain them on a weekly basis. We do see, as with any computer system, slowing down things, taking more time to maintain and update. So it'd be nice to have something a little more current in the cruisers, a little more durable as well. These are just generic tablets that we're currently
You have
using.
1 per cruiser?
1 per cruiser.
So that's how many?
We have 4 cruisers with tablets in them,
You have a backup or just the 4 frontline units?
just the 4 frontline units.
But you say replace 5.
And also I'm missing a cruiser, 732, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'm sorry, 5. I keep forgetting about the 32.
Where do you stand with your ambulance tablets?
I have 4. A couple of them are older. I bought some refurbished ones. I think we're going to start to have some compatibility with software, like with Amber Pro. They heat up a lot with that program.
The hard drive's running.
Right. And I'm not sure, I'd have to talk to Dave to see what he had. He had some ideas, I just haven't really had a chance to sit down with him.
Yeah, so I did talk to him about this. I talked to him about all the IT stuff on here, and we pay for his time, so I'm not paying him to be here, because we would already be $200 to the bad at this point. And I did have a brief conversation with the chief. I don't know if he spoke to you before he came up, but
No,
the tough, what you guys use are made to take a beating, and they're priced accordingly, and it's a brand name associated with it. There are tablets that are fantastically, fabulously functional and really up to date, that are so much less expensive that you could have at it and break a whole set and replace them and still be under the budget.
right.
So, but the thought was to try to put all together, because if I take your 5 and your 4, I might get a better discount on the procurement than I would if I went out individually for each one. So I would say rate it as if you're replacing every single tablet that we have in a frontline emergency vehicle. Keep the budget the same.
Because of the drop in price and, all right. Again, one of my concerns is the fact that they're heating up so much. Last thing I want is to have it heat up and catch my brand-new ambulance on fire.
That would be a public
And
relations
unfortunately,
disaster.
that has to be a consideration in my mind. It's a concern. They are heating up that much.
Really?
So that would be good if
Correct.
all of
It's under
them
the same
were
budget, yeah,
included,
absolutely.
same budget.
My
And
other,
on that note, I'll go with a 4.
okay.
Four
My other
points.
question is, and this is just to wrap my head around it, Brandon.
Sure.
I know you call in, you'll call a plate in to dispatch and they'll run it.
True.
Okay, but, and I'm not trying to diminish the use of them, because in my opinion, it's a safety thing.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
If I know I'm pulling a car over, I want, and I see the plate and I'm doing radar at the, out in front of the fire station, and I see the plate go by, I punch it in before I go out. Because we're obviously not driving and doing that.
Right.
But that gives you an idea, especially with some of the clientele we have in town in
Well,
the
I didn't-
summertime.
No, those are people from other towns
Other
that come
towns.
here.
Yeah.
And it's not.
That's what I mean.
Right.
With the wall of Lake. But you want to know, safety-wise, you want to know, hey, if this person has assaulted a police officer or pulled a gun on someone, or they have warrants, you need to know that stuff.
Right. And it's happened to me. You know, I've run a car out, and as I'm pulling the car over, it came back stolen. So I'm like, get other units over here. You know, I didn't wait for the dispatcher to, you know, 5 minutes later to, after researching and whatever, to tell me that it's stolen after I've already gone up to the car.
Right.
Right.
So I was able to get other units there and take.
And that's my
take
point,
action.
and from, I've dispatched, so I know that you don't just get phone calls one at a time.
Sure. No, everything.
The whole board lights up and you gotta answer 5 911 calls. So now your dispatcher doesn't have time to start running plates for you. You
Sure.
mu-
Yeah. If someone's
So-
going to come into the window.
So to me, it's a safety issue for them. For us, it's just, we need it on the ambulance to be able to,
There are things that you
Document our-
might be able to do
document
that
our-
you haven't even thought about yet because you don't have the capability
Correct.
to do it.
Correct.
I mean, I told you about the beta testing we were doing in Tiverton with Fall River hospitals, where now you're live on, they had to use their cell phones because we couldn't afford the equipment. But it was an app, and it was taking data from the monitor, going to the ER. So now the ER doc on duty is on the phone, is communicating
Oh, wow.
with the medic because I'm swiping in. But meanwhile, because I've signed in, the medic signs in, says, we're in a transport, we're going to be there in 10 minutes. The ER is doing a better job of having the staff prepped for it. It's not getting lost, because sometimes that voice notification, get a room ready, and that ain't working because everybody's busy. But now there's a record, and that was the point, is it's not just, oh, well, the PA announcer at the hospital didn't get it out fast enough.
No.
Now there's a record. I told you I was coming with a cardiac patient 20 minutes ago. I get here and you're not ready.
or trauma. Yeah, exactly. No, I
That shifts
get it.
the problem from the ambulance company making the transport to the hospital being liable for not being ready for the patient. But they loved it. They thought it was, well, this is whiz-bang stuff, but your existing units may not be able to do that. My only question, and we'll research this for the chief this morning and for David, is you guys are using air cards.
Correct.
We want to make sure
One of
our
my
pricing includes the air card.
Right, one of my future priorities is to upgrade that. I don't like the air cards because they sit in the tablet and they're doing this the whole time, and I've replaced several of them over the years just because they fail, and there's other alternatives.
Are they
more-
hotspots or Bluetooth?
They are not hotspots, and that's something we're looking at in order to implement as well, but.
They're
as far-
Verizon Wireless, right?
They're Verizon Wireless air cards, right? I don't believe you can create a hotspot on them, to the best of my knowledge, so, but yeah, we're
It's a
looking for.
two-edged sword.
Yeah, so we're looking for something a little more durable. There's cards we can mount in the back with an antenna on the roof. It also increases the reliability of the connection as well. So that's all it is just a
You might be able to
hybrid.
do that if we get you less expensive tablets.
Exactly,
Pull it-
yeah.
So I think the way we would cast this project, if it were to go forward, would be, you know, how we have to be careful, all necessary accessories, you know, to the point, to the network.
All right.
Just-
Well, thank you for sharing that.
I would just like to make one
Sure.
comment here. I think we have to be cautious of our comments regarding summer traffic, because it's more than summer traffic. We have
Oh, yeah.
cars coming from Connecticut, Rhode Island, even where I live, which is out further. But they're coming from 395 to 146 and all kinds of traffic all
Well, that was
year,
what I was
all
alluding to.
year.
That was what I was alluding to.
I was only pointing out that our residents are fantastic, and it's the places from other people from other places that we have to be careful.
And
That was a
also
cheap sort
even,
of thing I threw.
even New York coming.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
So-
I'm out there, I see.
Those are rental vehicles. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a 4.
Same here, 4.
Same here.
3.
I'll be a 4 as well.
All right, so we've got done one page.
5 pages left.
Feasibility for police station. Do we want to come back to that conversation at all, or
No, I think it was,
let's just rate it?
yeah, I think we were supposed to.
I think, for me,
At this point, I will say nice to do,
Yeah, me too.
in 1 point. I want to know when we're more active to,
Closer to it.
yeah.
right. Okay, a 1 for me.
Yep, 1 good.
One also.
Library cameras.
Hold on.
Oops, sorry.
I was just reading the bullets on 2,
I know.
but I'll.
I would love to. It's been on
I'll-
too long, but
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna score it a could do, a 2.
Okay, that's understandable. Library cameras, 10,000. This was a priority 3 with Justin.
I'll do a 3 on that.
I was also gonna do a should
He
do.
put his, is that your score, or is that the priority?
That is a should do.
I'll do a should do also.
I will see.
I'll agree, should do.
Three also.
I'll go with 3. We're skipping over,
Or put a 1 on it, you know, because I
Alright.
just don't think.
all right, Ellie told me to put a 1.
Nice to do, yeah.
Ellie told me to put a 1.
So you're taking off your hold.
Well, yeah, just because it's just me saying here, we haven't voted as
A board.
a board,
Okay.
right? So,
A 1.
Okay, that's fine.
All right,
A 1.
library repairs, paint, lead, asbestos tests. Is 25, when you start talking about lead and asbestos, even anywhere
Well,
near
this is just the
enough?
testing.
That's the testing.
This wouldn't be a removal. If you find something, that's a whole different ballgame.
All right, that,
So we're saying, yeah, because that was changed to 25,000.
Yeah, 25,000. And that was to do the testing, repair some plaster work. He had some issues with the back door. He wanted to replace the frame.
yeah, but he said somebody, one of the patrons came in and repaired it yesterday.
Oh, there you go. It's good.
Yeah. So I don't know if it has been perfectly repaired, but
Yeah,
maybe you should check it
yeah, I'll
out.
definitely check it out. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd go 3 with this.
I'll agree.
Likely health hazard, I think. Yeah, I would like to know whether there's lead and asbestos in there, honestly, so I think, and that would help the project go forward. So to me, I would give it 3 points.
I'll give it a 3.
Three?
That ends up being that surprise number when you're not realizing it, as I found out. And when they start testing stuff after the fact, you think you have everything nailed down, and then
Yeah.
they give you that surprise, so it's good to know ahead of time.
The chief's not here. Does everybody want to take a body break and come back? Does anybody need
Let's
to take a?
men's room.
Yeah, I'll stand
So,
up and walk.
so we don't lose his,
around a little
his vote.
bit. Sounds good to me.
All right. Oh, good. We're taking.
So I voted a 3 on that, Mr. Administrator.
Okay.
All right, so after the library, we start with Douglas Public Schools, tractor and mower replacement.
I put a 1. I still want a quote for a different brand.
Kubota. You
And
want a
they're working
Kubota.
on that. I did talk to the school yesterday.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
They actually did have a quote, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody knows how this works. I'll just remind you, because I sometimes have to remind people over there. We don't bid out brand names because that restricts.
Well, no, I don't mean to say that. I just want them to go beyond just one, the current machine that they,
So there is no justification for ever saying we would replace a deer mower with a deer mower. We're going to replace a mower with the least cost mower.
right. Yeah,
The
but
only way you
they,
the only way you can escape that is if you have an existing machine
yeah.
and you're buying an attachment that will only attach to that
Compatibility.
Yeah, 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 okay.
machine, which is
But not the
the
other
issue we
way
had with the
around.
snow blower. You have a John Deere loader. You can't put a rinky-dink onto a
Yeah,
Deere
Komatsu
mower
won't
and
fit.
expect it to work. It won't.
Yeah, yeah.
So that we had to do it that way, but it's very, very rare. It's frowned upon. These guys have to bid out a tractor. And frankly, at the pricing, a Deere will never win.
No, right, exactly. Yeah, but if you go to 146, when we bought our Kubota,
Yeah.
we went to the 146 supply, the Deere place there, and
They sell Kubota?
no, they
Oh.
don't. Hearn sells Kubota.
Deere is.
I didn't think so.
You can't have
But
any
there
other
were,
brand.
Thrown out of it.
there were like 5 or 6 beautiful, big John Deere tractors sitting out in front of their place. And they said, oh, that's, the state's buying those. So we said, oh, okay. And then we went to Ahern's. But we didn't want one of those big ones. But, you know, the state obviously didn't go out for bid.
Personally, I would buy the John Deere just because I like the colors.
Yeah, right. No, John Deere colors are very nice.
People do that, and what they do is they'll specify a certain gauge of steel or a certain transmission.
Yeah.
They get real specific, and then you find out that only one manufacturer
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
that
yeah.
at that level.
Yeah.
Justified if you are a state, if you only on one basis, right?
Yeah.
If you have a track record
Good,
that demonstrates, if I buy 3 Fords, they're all going to bust.
Yeah.
But the Deere can get through it all. Well, what's 3 Fords cost versus the Deere? But, yeah, everybody makes this. Mahindra's the hot new brand and whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
But you know,
All right, so Ellie, what were you?
1.
1? Tractor. Let's see.
Forget what he said he was having problems with.
Do we have a list of the school's tractors?
On the insurance stuff,
what's it?
I don't know. I have the insurance list.
It's all under our Maya policy. It should have been on the declaration for Douglas Public Schools.
I'm watching.
That was just auto fleet, so I don't know if that included. Well, there's a John Deere loader here for highway.
I think all the school stuff is together on that declaration, I'm pretty sure. We replaced one last year for them.
We did.
Yeah.
It was a little light-duty,
Yeah, John
Tractor.
Deere tractor, 1998. They have here.
that's it, isn't it?
That's the one we're replacing. All
Yeah,
right.
it must be.
This is more of, if I remember the conversation, that
More of a mower?
this is more of a, it's got to be a little bit more oomph because it's pushing the deck up the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah, you mowing
Yeah.
that side hill at the high school where the
Right.
soccer field is.
that's what he said, yeah.
Yeah, because the original cost of that one in 1998 was 11,000, and so it's grown quite a bit since then.
Went up a little.
You want to see it? I think that's the school packet.
Yeah. That's their number one priority.
Yeah, it is. Let me see. Yeah.
You know what? It's a could do for me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna agree, Chief.
I was gonna say
I'm
the same.
agreeing.
So, 2 points.
2 points.
Yep.
Oh, this is a 2003.
Yeah.
So, all right, let me get this right. Shirley was a could do, which is a 2.
Yep.
John was a 2.
Yes.
2.
Also a 2.
Chief?
2. All righty. Douglas Fitness Equipment.
I'll give it a 1, which is nice to do.
I'll agree.
Same here, 1.
Yeah.
1.
I'll agree.
LCD projectors, 20 in total. It's a priority 3, 30,000.
I did a should do, the 3.
I don't remember.
Well, they've been replacing them one at a time as they've been breaking. Remember them talking about it.
And I think she changed the amount to 24,995, but should we leave in the 30? That's my note to myself.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
Leave it 30 then.
What happened to these other things there? Like upgrade the high school phone system?
That's,
Future years.
Future years.
Well, it says year 2020.
But on her cover sheet,
Yeah.
Oh, she
The cover
said
sheet just has the 4.
okay.
So I'm gonna rank this, I'm gonna say it's 2. Required to maintain basic services.
I'm gonna agree with that. 2.
2 for me as well.
I'll go 2.
I'll go with it too.
Is that everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gymnasium painting, 22,300, priority 4.
I'll go 1.
I'll agree.
I'm gonna go with that as well, since it's a priority 4.
1 as well.
1.
I'll stay with a 1.
Town administrator, public safety radio system overhaul.
I'm gonna go with a 4.
I am too.
I
4.
I will also go with a 4.
I will go with a 4 as well.
Also 4.
4. Priority, let's see, Gilboa Street, 12-inch main.
have a hard time with water sewer, trying to figure it out what is it called the enterprise fund, or whatever it
Yeah.
is that they have? I'm never quite sure how much money is in there, or how much flexibility that they have in providing partial funding for these things. And as I said at the last meeting, I favor town meeting action at 10% for water sewer stuff to cover the emergency element for you guys, the safety people.
As opposed to a 50-50 split.
Right. So I don't have I don't know if I want to vote on any of these, or I'll give them all a could do's, or nice to do's, but I just, because of the funding sources not being clear in the original request, I did that.
And Matt, if this is a priority one, Gilboa Street, 12-inch main, and I know that's important.
Well,
Wasn't this top of the
I
list
almost
last
kind
year?
of feel like we're missing a really important piece here. I realize that the Water Commission wants to prioritize all of these for fiscal '20. You could never realistically do all of those projects, even physically.
Yeah.
And so I'm already kind of like a little bit cynical about it. And if this whole economic development initiative were to move forward on Davis Street, that would be the only thing you would be able to do
Right.
physically. Now, all your resources would be completely focused there. And then when I look at it, I say, you wouldn't ever do a 12-inch main from the booster station to Rydell if you haven't done the 12-inch main from Franklin to the booster station.
Makes no sense.
So and would you phase it that way, or would you do it all at once? There are a lot of unanswered questions, and the dollar numbers are so high. I think the one thing that kind of, they're not here to talk, but I'll be the first one to tell you that I think economic development at the end of Gilboa Street will necessitate the replacement of whatever substandard portion of pipe there is. You want to make sure what you're connecting to is spot on, so it's really that, perhaps the most critical thing here could be the North Street 16-inch main from Maine to Gilboa, because everything else depends on that. And that's the closest to the station, right? That's what's left. And so we upgraded the replacements made on the bridge because we had the bridge all tore up. So that's ready.
The hardest part was done, in my opinion.
Exactly. The hardest part was done, but also the funds were spent. So you're going to make sure you take advantage of what you did. And so without their guidance, that us as lay people, or well, you have an operator license and you're familiar with it, but isn't that the most important thing? And everything else is sort of like,
You have to
it would
stop.
be nice to do if we all, Powerball came through for the town. Except you might want to upgrade the most critical pieces. What do you absolutely have to do to make the rest of it
Like you said, phase
possible in the
one,
future?
coming off the 16-inch main of the large main going through the middle of town, going down North Street, connect to what you've already done. Now you've actually, now you're almost able, once you turn that corner on the Gilboa, you can access, that's phase two to me, would be from the bridge down towards the mill, and then you can expand out. Again, same thing with Davis Street. From the high school, because it's a large main, you can continue on. That's another phase of that side. So that's the hardest part of prioritizing this. Which direction are they going, which direction are we going? And that's, that's the hard part with ranking,
Because a lot of the rest of this looks like work, there's a good piece of this, and maybe they had put it in future years. All down Cemetery and B, all that work in the village That's probably some of the oldest part of the system.
I would guess
Small
so.
part.
Yeah, so there seem to be chunks that, in different parts of town. So you would do it all
Do that whole area, I would say, but
Over the
to
course
me,
of a
if you don't
couple
have the
years.
line to feed it in, you gotta start there. And
Yeah.
then those to me would be, those are secondary. Those lines are all secondary. And, you get the main line run, and then you go branch off and you start. So if you're gonna go down North Street and there, then you can take a left and go up Gilboa Hill, and you could go down Cemetery, down.
You have to do the supply lines before you can do
It's just not gonna work.
the branches.
You can always,
Absolutely.
yes, you can put it in place and then narrow it back down to what you have existing. But to me, that's just, that just, and then it's sitting in the ground. And it's already aging at that point until you get the money to keep tying it in. So, to me, you would
So I
start.
think for the rest of the capital plan, because we're not done, the feedback, the respectful feedback to the Water Commission is, can you please organize this into a work plan? Now, they have, because they have projects that have closed out in the past with balances,
Yeah.
there is $28,205.80 that you could, but this is the one we're all saying looks like it's the most important is 403,000. So the question back to them would be, do you want to go to town meeting, release the 28, and you'll have to come up with 300 something out of your fund? And does,
Because I look at that too, and it's just not this part of it. Now I tie in the highway. I want to pave that road eventually. John and I have been discussing this road needs it. So I need them to do this, because I'm not paving it for them to tear it up 2 years after I
Right.
pave this road,
Yeah.
So I need them to do this, so that way we can get on our plan that road to pave. And I don't know where economic development is, which part of town they're aiming at more than another part, but that's another direction they're gonna want to head into, So and again, if they know it, kind of bringing them all together would kind of guide us a little better than where I'm sitting.
The other thing I'll throw out there is that while a MassWorks water and sewer are essential to the project going forward. The project won't go if we can't get water and sewer. MassWorks does not require a match, but you get scored a little bit higher in the competition if you have a match.
Can you tell me about MassWorks? I'm not familiar with them.
So that's the State Department, what do they call themselves? It's economic development, economic and community development,
I think so. Yeah.
and they do infrastructure grants. 100%, up to 100%. They have very narrow window of application. It has to be shovel-ready, so there can't be any permitting or other obstacles in the way. And there has to be an economic justification. There has to be jobs associated, being created, not just theoretical, but a greenfield development's easier because you can say, but for the building, there wouldn't be the jobs.
Yeah. Is it a state agency or?
Yes.
Okay.
So our neighbors, Sutton and Uxbridge, each got a MassWorks grant in the last round to do development right on the edge of Douglas. So they're gonna run gas across 146, and that's gonna cross like 2 towns to get to the Sutton Industrial Park.
I thought they already put gas through. Tennessee did it,
Tennessee did, that's the high-pressure line. This is actually,
where you can't tap off of it.
you can, but it wouldn't make sense here because it's the wetlands and all this other stuff. So it isn't Huff Road, what's the name of that road? I always forget the name of that
Whitens
road.
Road,
Whiten Road?
No, where the industrial park is in.
Gilmore Drive, Sutton?
But it's Whiten.
in Sutton?
Is it Barnett?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's Barnett.
Barnett and there's Gilmore Drive, which is where.
Gilmore Drive.
Gilmore
Yeah,
Drive.
That's the,
Gilmore.
yeah, Gilmore
Gilmore.
Drive. So, but they might run the gas all the way to the end of Huff Road for whatever reason. That's theirs. Uxbridge is bringing, well, they think they're bringing gas, water, and sewer across under 146 on, what do they call that, Douglas Road on their side, and our side it's Davis Street,
Yeah.
up to the Campanelli project, which you see the driveways have already been cut, and the site work's been done.
By the state
right
pit.
before you get to 146.
Right by the state pit, or the
Oh,
DOT
okay,
is.
okay.
That's a Medline warehouse, so Medline is committed to a 600,000 square foot warehouse. And there's room for 2 other buildings on the site. They actually, I forget what they got, 1.5 million, I want to say, to bring those utilities across. The problem is they didn't ask the gas company what it was going to cost them. So that's a little, I'm laughing, but it's because you have to laugh.
Yeah.
The proposal that has been brought to Douglas, that's in the conceptual stage, that was briefed to the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday night, was for a 1 million square foot warehouse on our side of 146, on Davis Street.
Same people?
Completely different people. Unknown exactly, but it's not Medline. But they require water and sewer, so the only way we could reach them would be from our end. It's less of a run from the Douglas system than to connect anything new that Uxbridge tries to build. So there's all these dynamics. What I'm trying to build up to is that if the committee had an opinion on what match it would recommend to town meeting, it would help us determine what we're going to put in the application as a potential match. The problem with it is that soaks up your budget. You're putting a hold on that portion of your budget, and it wouldn't be available for any other project, and it wouldn't close out. So, right, that's the problem with it. But economic development is always like this. It always comes down to this. Or you can simply say, we're going to pass on a match. It either goes or it doesn't go as a grant.
As bad as our town needs economic development, and as much as if we could run water and sewer up Davis Street and how much that opens up alone, just for any property either side, it's something that's very important, I think, to all of us. So, I don't know what a percentage would be. I don't know.
We don't want to lose this possibility.
No, we definitely don't. I mean, we all saw the override. We know,
Yeah.
Everything that went along with it, and so to me, Davis Street, it's one of the key areas we've all discussed many times over the years. And to bring it up Davis Street and having water and sewer makes us look a lot better, and a lot of, people want to sell and could put more businesses, and that's a good location. So, to me, I would definitely not want to lose that opportunity.
So how do you justify having us, well, most of it would be this Mass Works grant, right? So you have to make it so you're not bringing the water and sewer up so that the landowners can make more money out of it. And so that's where you want to get the betterment stuff in there. Why should the town pay for this? And then you'll say, oh, we'll get $4 million in taxes or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but, and I didn't see the selectmen's meeting the other night. My husband was trying to tell me about it. But, that's, as a taxpayer, that's what bugs me, that we would, as a town, would have to pay money for these people to get more money for their land. And we don't see the return on it. Our taxes aren't going down.
What would a 1 million, is that you said 1 million square foot? So, I don't know, I mean, how would the town gain by that type of a project financially? I know it's a generic question, but...
Well, no, it's the question. Commercial property is typical, there's 3 methods for valuing it, and each one will come up with a different result, and the assessor usually makes a choice.
And right now, it's even with the residential.
Well, that's your rate. So, but I'm talking, there's an economic valuation, then there's a per square foot method for valuing commercial property. Warehouses, you usually use that because well, I don't know. I'm not an assessor. I'm not going to speculate. What value would it have to command in order to contribute enough to the value of the town to offset even a 2.5% levy? That, to me, that economic development, that's always the question, right? How much value, how much do you have to build to add enough value to the town where it has an impact on the tax rate?
Right.
And my math was, because I think we're in a nice sort of comfortable spot math-wise, the value of the town just barely crossed $1 billion.
And is 995 million of it state park?
No, because it has no value, so you see.
Oh, right.
Right? It's $1 billion without the park. And doing the math in my head, I think I came up with, you would have to get 25 million in value every year to hold the existing residential taxpayers' bills constant. Even though you were growing at 2.5 a year, you could, if you had enough growth, hold everybody else constant. That's quite a pace, 25 million a year. But that's the goal, right? That's the target. Is a 1 million square foot warehouse going to be 25 million? And it'll cost at least that much to do the site work and build it, probably. But what is it going to generate for value?
And always my question is, are they looking for a TIF to come?
Nothing's been asked for.
Because I think it's been shown that doesn't help.
No, I hear you.
Plus, I don't think it's been tracked. They always say, oh yeah, we're going to hire local people. And do they? Sorry.
So,
I would like to see more input from water sewer
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly can't rank, in knowing a
Yeah.
lot about it, I can't rank
I mean,
unless I know a direction that
What's
we
their
all want to.
plan?
The only thing that, going back to what Matt's talking about, is if we wanted to match this, because I don't want to get off track too much, what a percentage would be, and I don't know if we were going to go without saying anything, or if we want to put something towards it, and that I don't know enough about the numbers, I guess, to know what would be a good percentage to do, or what would make us more attractive, because I would love anything more than be able to get this grant and run water and sewer up there, and,
Yeah,
that
I
benefits
know.
the town, so.
And basically, he prioritized 3 or 4. He gave 2 a priority 3.
Yeah. It was a tie.
Yeah.
Well, I gave them all ones, except for the one that you talked about, the 403,000 one, the North Street 16-inch, and I gave that a 3.
To me, that's exactly it. If you're gonna do anything on Gilboa Street, that has to be the start.
you're talking North Street?
Yeah, North Street.
Yeah, the short
If
section.
You're gonna,
From Maine till
yeah,
Gilboa.
to me, I mean, that's, at least you can say that definitely has to be done, if you're gonna do anything on Gilboa. So, I mean, we know that's there.
How big is a 1 million square foot? I mean, I'm just trying
A
to.
1 million square feet.
No, I'm just trying to.
Like a school, a $54 million
I'm
I'm
school
sorry,
or something.
I couldn't resist.
I get it. I'm trying to reference it to another building I'm familiar with, like BJ's Warehouse up in Uxbridge. Is that something like the distribution center up off of where Flag RV is?
I think that's very similar in size.
I'm trying to just.
The exact match in terms of size is the warehouse on Route 24 in Fall River that Amazon built 2 years ago.
So,
Cisco builds them that size as well, if you've ever seen the restaurant company.
right.
They build 1 million square foot warehouses.
So I'm wondering, I'm sure you know people Fall River way, and I know you talked to the town manager in Uxbridge. When they built that, did they see any improvement in their tax base? I mean,
They're
Well,
always,
they haven't done it yet.
I'm talking about,
the
But
BJ's.
beer-
BJ's.
Oh, BJ's. Oh, no,
That's about-
I've never asked about that.
I would,
What was there before, though? Wasn't that a, was that?
that was just all.
The gravel.
Bank-
Gravel.
Hoodsies, wasn't it?
Yeah, hoods,
Yeah,
Hoods.
hoods, yep.
Just these.
Gravel.
Well, because we used to buy from them, so they were Hoodsy. We're going to Hoodsy. Anyway.
So I would, I don't know, I mean, can you glean information from people that might have some of that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To give us a sort of a reference point.
I know the CVS built a warehouse on Founder's Drive in Woonsocket, and it was a pretty substantial bonus, tax-wise.
They were born in Woonsocket, yeah.
Here.
That was not subject to the pilot agreement, so that was a 100% mark-to-market transaction, and I think we valued that pretty high. And we get a lot of tax money out of it. But then again, they have a split rate, so you gotta adjust for that. Those are all good questions. That's gonna be part of our attempt at a grant application.
And I think some of Bob's response was that he wanted to see our paving plan
Yeah.
to go
We were
with,
gonna
to
talk.
go with this list, so we're not paving roads that he needs new water lines on.
No.
He
we
had
don't wanna
that
do
conversation during the
That's
meeting.
very embarrassing.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Which is-
been done.
No, well,
So,
so look,
Seriously.
where's the most recent pavement that's been laid in this area?
It hasn't.
Route 60, the
Yeah.
very road they're gonna tear up to provision
Yeah.
that warehouse.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing
you
anyway.
know, and the state paved Manchog Road, they gave us a few weeks'
I
notice,
remember.
just last July.
Yep.
And said, oh, by the way, we're paving starting next week. And that old water line's still on the ground that we patched up at A Street. And on the bridge, the
Yeah.
Mechanic Street Bridge, just last year as
Can I
well.
just ask a question? I'm curious. I know we're running against time, but
Yeah.
didn't they give that road back to the town? Why are they out paving?
Manchog
it?
Road? No.
No, not Manchog.
They still pave.
Why did they pave 16 in Uxbridge? Is it
They-
still a state road there?
It's 16 to Webster is,
No.
that's not, well, they did that.
They did the work. It was they went through a safety audit and deemed it one of the safest roads in the state, and they just offered us the work and did it.
So it's largesse on their part.
Yeah,
They're not obligated to do it.
no. No. They still own Manchog, they plow it, sand it, clean the
That's
catch
right, I
basins on
remember
it.
that
Yeah.
And there was discussion sometime along the way that they were going to
The last, my first year
But they're
working
gonna pave it
here,
and give it to you.
they were gonna give it to us, because that's when they ground it and paved it, but then
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
I
I
don't
wasn't in the
either.
loop.
Well, don't beg for it.
No, I'm good, they can have it all. And they owned a section of Davis Street at one time.
Yep.
When I first, by the high school, and that, when they did it over, they said, here you go,
Yeah.
you know?
I think the issue was they were supposed to improve Manchog Road and it didn't get done. So town, I believe, wouldn't,
Well, I'm not sure.
there was discussion and they didn't do it.
But that's how Bob and I was talking at the meeting, that
Yep.
I don't want to
Yes.
No, I agree.
have me pave a road, and we're working on a pavement study, and I think that's where a lot of this is lying right now.
Yeah.
You know? But
So-
I don't want to, sorry,
No, I'm
I
sorry.
don't want to be us to be the cause of not getting this Mass Works grant, not getting the work done down on Davis Street.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna go with. Do you have any other towns given a percentage? You know, have you heard anything like that? No?
I don't think there's local matches
Okay.
in Sutton and Uxbridge.
So, and they still did get them though?
But I think we need to be
Yeah, I don't wanna-
aware of more information.
So we're more competitive if we have,
If we have any
A
kind of a
match?
match?
You can be, but you know,
can we do like we do with AFG? Well, I'll give you a 5% match.
sitting here, my thought process is this. You know, after consulting with Gene, have a sense of what our budget is for capital. And our notion was we were gonna hold back and roll over a certain portion of free cash. If we do that, and the MassWorks grant starts to look like it's gonna come together, we would still have, we could call a special town meeting. So you don't have to vote today, just, you might wanna be supportive of the MassWorks grant effort, but not commit
I could
to
do
an
that.
article.
I could
I
do
agree with that.
That's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to all these water projects, since we're running out of time, send a signal to to water and sewer that you want to work with them, but you want to start with the 403 and what's the
Because to me, they're all like,
priority for all the rest of it? What's the plan?
Yeah, and that's, I know, I did listen to one of the meetings that I wasn't at, but I had put my, and then I stopped listening to it when you brought me into the discussion, but it was that I didn't approve of paying for 5-year plans with capital money. And I think it was said, well, we really need 5-year plans. And I agree. I'm not disagreeing that 5-year plans should get blown out of the window, but they should be planned by the professionals that we have employed in this town. So I think Bob Sullivan should do that with the commissioners, set the 5-year plan that way. I don't think you need an enormous grant to have an outsider do it. I think you can do it yourself if they're professionals. And I know, I feel they are, so.
right. I say these, I equate these with in the same ballpark as my engines. They're debt exclusions.
Well, that's kind of where we assigned a 1.
And that's
The
what I'm
rating system
thinking.
was, you need a financing plan.
But I think we need to look at the 403 one, and we need to support the 12-inch main on Davis Street. For the grant.
For development that,
Mass Works grant.
this one, the one down at the bottom.
Yeah,
It's support, yeah,
exactly,
okay, I agree
absolutely.
to that.
Do you want to rate the 16-inch on North Street to Gilboa, so you send a signal that you want to support it if they can
Yeah.
hold the rest of this? And I would do the same with Gilboa Street, because we do know there's a water hammer there. Last year, you rated it number 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly,
No,
out
we
of
knew-
everything. That's what
We
I
know.
What,
said
the
previously.
first, the 710,000? See, I don't agree with that because there's no, you don't know when that whole development stuff is going to happen. I thought the existing business there would be there for 10 or 15 more years. And why is the concentration being there? And now it's this Mass Works things, that sounds logical. But this one
I wouldn't give
on
it a high
Gilboa.
rating, Ellie,
For what?
Gilboa Street. I wouldn't give it too high a rating, but I would give it more than a 1, because
No, I would give it a 1. I'd give it a 3 for the 403, but.
The
and
12-inch
every-
Gilboa, you mean?
yeah. Only because
And again, you're providing,
I'm Mr. I stayed up all night at Mill Fires guy from Woonsocket, right? So it takes a lot of water even to get close enough to the building to make sure there's nobody in there. And you can't flow with the screwed up pipe system that's there now. So that's why I think it's more than a 1, but I don't know that it's more than a 2.
yeah, but it's when is something going to happen down Gilboa Street, not for a number of years.
Yeah.
So that's where I don't think you should.
The only
But if we,
thing that makes me not worry so much about that is I got a river right there and a parking lot that I
Yeah, you do
take
have-
command of the river.
Yeah.
I'll buy you some screen to put over your hoses.
No, we have all that. We've done it.
Yeah, yeah.
We had to do it. We were forced to, So,
And the town owns the dam and all the land along it now.
Yeah.
So you don't need anybody's permission to draft.
and we used to
Not that you
pull
would
into the
bother to
parking
ask,
lot.
but-
But we've got a spot right there. Remember where that car drove off and went right in?
Oh, yeah.
You can easily drop right in there.
I didn't.
So,
All right, so I
We gotta get
have
moving.
Ellie
Yeah.
as a 1 on Gilboa Street and a 3 for North Street.
Yes. And
One's on
ones
everything
for
else.
all the other ones, down to the bad luck one.
Adam, what are you doing for number 1? Gilboa.
So Gilboa Street, I'm gonna go with, let's see.
I'm calling on you because I know you're the water guy.
I'm gonna do a 3 and a 3 on North Street,
Okay.
because I'm gonna go with a combination in my head of fire And I'm also gonna come, as in if we ever do, it'd be nice to have it there for any time in the future for economic development.
Right.
Nice to do, that's
So
one.
3, 3,
No,
and
no,
then the
no.
rest ones?
Nice to do both, you know, but
And then the rest ones?
I'm gonna, yeah, and then ones I would go all the way down for now.
And then the bottom ones, support?
Exactly, correct.
I'll be the same.
That's where I'm going.
We,
My only change or difference will be a 2 on the Gilboa Street 12-inch water main. I'll be a 3 on the North Street.
Okay, I got all that, so it's to Ms. Mozinski.
All right, so we've got,
Wait, Shirley's voting.
Shirley's good.
what's that?
Shirley's
Shirley.
voting.
She hasn't voted yet.
I'm going to do a 2 on Gilboa and North. Or maybe a 3 on North, I'm sorry. And 1 on the rest.
All right, I got all that. The bridge I think you guys already said 4 across the board.
I think I said a 3, or I have a 3 written down here, so.
Okay, I changed it.
So are we ready to move on to senior center?
That's where we are.
For me, it's a 4 on the floor for the
You know
senior
what?
center.
Hold it, did we do the Davis Street 12?
Just support.
We're gonna
not
support,
voting.
we're not, okay, okay, all right. Senior center?
Senior center, that's the floor.
Yep,
So whether it's rug or tile, I think it's a 4.
I do too.
I'm
Three.
doing a 3. Why? Is there a lawsuit?
No, but
Well-
they, somebody.
No, I mean, I know people have fallen, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there is a,
We don't need to
there
wait
is
for a
no-
lawsuit,
We're avoiding a lawsuit.
yeah.
I'll be a 4 as well.
Same here, I'll take a 4.
Am I right? That's a 4, and then Ellie's a 3.
And that brings us to
Voting,
Voting machines.
voting machines. And not that we've ever had any close votes.
No, by no means.
yeah, right.
I'll vote a 3.
I'll give it a 4.
I'm gonna go with a 4 as well.
I'll go 4.
I'll do a 4.
I'll agree with the 4.
All right, so to recap, it's a 4, except for Ellie's a 3.
Okay. Next is the storage room for
Climate
60,000.
control.
Climate control. I'd say that's a 3. That's a should do for sure.
I agree.
It's records.
Also,
And you know what?
Yeah, I know, it's.
I'm right on the line between a 3 and
Yeah.
a 4.
I hear you,
Right.
Exactly it.
because they're already deteriorating.
Right.
But there's also that option of, which I don't see happening really soon,
I know.
about putting a safe in a better spot downstairs.
Right, a
but-
vault, yeah.
I did email Chris about a place in Andover, Mass., the Northeast Document Conservation Center, which is very useful for getting information on how best to restore things. And some of the stuff that she had brought in, those books that were black, they might be able to restore them.
Good.
So,
Let's hope. Absolutely.
yeah, no, I think that I'm an advocate for all of that, so therefore I'm giving it a 3.
I'm not seeing anywhere where I can justifiably say it's a health risk or
Well, to
Threat to
actually
Well, to touch
read
those books
here.
there.
Oh, yeah,
So,
well-
Read that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 4.
Okay. And preventing irreparable damage. I would say town's records have to be really
Well, they're
preserved.
supposed to be kept.
Death certificates, birth certificates.
But I also would like a safe breaker to break into those safes. I really would.
Maybe it's full of money.
I know.
right?
And we wouldn't need higher taxes, ooh.
Stop dreaming on that one.
They cleaned it out and shut them, don't worry. We're all pretty sure of that. All right,
Threw away the
I get
combination.
you, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with a 4.
I also will go with a 4.
This is like Hilo Jack. 4 to you, Brandon. You're the deal. You taking the bid?
I'm gonna go with a 3.
Cable.
So the last thing's cable, right?
Yeah.
17,000 for
Yes.
sound system?
For out of their funds, or 16 out of theirs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have to put in 1,000.
yeah, it's 1,000 that the town puts in.
Our 1,000 really is kind of a must-do, because it's ADA compliance.
Right.
If anybody ever came in and said, I can't hear the meeting, it's an open
All
meeting
right,
exec.
4 then.
It's a
There you
4
go.
to me. Because I've been.
That's all I
here.
needed.
It's,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cannot hear.
I know, I've sit home and turn it up as high as you can and you still can't hear it.
I
And
think
even
it's a
if you're
huge,
here, you can't. It needs to be.
Yeah, no,
it's a
that's
huge
true.
convenience that this
Yes.
town videotapes all of its meetings. So those of us who need to stay informed don't have to go to all of them.
Yeah.
I've worked in other places where that wasn't done. It was dreadful. You had to read the minutes, and it was only as good as the minute taker, and it was sometimes a volunteer, and it was like, and they all decided to vote. Those are the minutes. So what happened at the meeting?
Yeah,
At
really.
least here, you know, and we didn't catch all of our inglorious moments on tape, whatever, but
Yep.
All right, so we've completed the ranking process. And now we have to have the drum roll.
And see it on TV.
While Matt's doing that, does anybody have any old business?
I don't think we have any minutes that we have to do, do we?
We've got a ton of minutes, but
But
I
we're not.
I
Should be
forgot
on
to
meeting.
email them to everybody,
That's
so I'm gonna have to do that.
It's gonna be
so-
a meeting in itself. There's so
Now,
many.
Matt, you said we needed to meet again anyway, prior to town
you're
meeting.
you're nowhere near, yeah, you're gonna have to meet before town meeting, because what we present, as you remember, every year at town meeting is a 5-year capital plan. It's
Right.
required by your bylaws.
Yep.
So we have to finish that. We have to do years 2, 3, 4, and 5. It doesn't have to be at this level of detail,
Right,
but
it needs to
you
be put
realize what
together.
you don't fund this year, you're pushing the next year.
Sure.
And department heads had priorities for next year that they had identified, so you gotta sort that out. You're just gonna keep cascading it down until we have 5 years out.
And that's basically what we've been doing all these years anyway.
So, when are we gonna meet? And that's new business, really.
Did that go to sleep on me? That
Yeah, I'm looking right now, Matt.
might have gone to sleep. This was a long time since it's been.
So, they're closing the warrant on April 2nd, are they?
How's everybody looking for
I think
next
they're
week?
closing the warrant that night. We're trying to get to a budget discussion next Tuesday night.
The
at the
26th.
board,
The 26th.
the 26th. So they need some time to.
So do we
review it
need to
all.
sort of wrap this up and have that to them? So do we need to maybe meet Monday? Or Tuesday during the day?
Depending on what you decide here today, we could almost draft the article between Jean and I and Suzanne. And your work would be done for that article. It's usually Article 11 or whatever that is.
Yeah, but we have no idea what our budget is.
So we're going to do the ranking. I'm going to tell you what you
And
got.
here we are. Okay.
I thought you had to leave now.
No,
12:30.
12:30.
Oh, okay.
You hungry?
No.
I am going to try to sort everything. This is not a familiar spreadsheet this is the Mickey Mouse spreadsheet program on this Apple computer. I don't think it should be that hard. Doesn't have a nice, easy icon.
Makes it easy to see.
So, your highest are now at the top.
Yep.
Oh, there are the fours.
Oh, there we go. That's much better.
Ah,
In fact, since you only need to see that cost column at this point, I can keep making it bigger.
Adam's thinking, takes a picture of it.
Everything, that's easier. I can go back to it. Boy, I can remember things. Losing my mind half the time.
So I can print this out too. We're not going to lose this.
oh,
Yeah, that would be
okay,
good.
that would be good.
Then you can have our individual.
Hey, Pat, where would this print to?
It's gonna print right here.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Perfect. I like this way better. I remember last year, you
Oh,
try to look, score them all.
Nobody could come up
Okay.
with two of the same numbers.
And we're on camera.
Who was
trying
our
to-
mathematician last year? Was it math?
You know who it was? It was Brett Argel.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't keep up to him.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. How come he left Capital?
Capital. Yeah.
It's good.
Probably
He's on
just,
the school committee.
probably
He
just
does a
in
lot
way
of
over
work.
his head with the school committee.
Yeah.
But he could be, I mean, this is only, what, 3
I'm trying to tell her how
intensive
many they want.
months of work, and that's it. Yeah.
Well,
But
not
he-
anymore. Sounds like Matt's gonna keep our feet to the fire here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we used to just be seasonal.
Yeah.
Now we're year-round.
He's gonna keep our feet to the fire.
All right, so it's printing for you. You got 2 that came out with a 4, though.
And that was senior center?
No.
No,
No?
So that's
The
your
3 there.
your radios for public safety
and cable.
and the cable. So, but let's also be, now we have to start to be thoughtful. So what Gene and I have identified is that this year, after taking into account like almost every worst-case scenario we could in terms of snow and ice and all the rest of it, there would be just almost exactly 750,000 available free cash.
That's the free cash.
Our recommendation is that we either carry forward 250 or, like we discussed, carry it forward as a potential use for MassWorks matching or other activity for economic development, and we would have to call a special town meeting for that. We get that. And that 500 could be put towards capital. We don't have any general fund availability for capital this year. But we are not using any free cash for the operating budget. So this year's budget stands alone without free cash.
And how much is in free cash?
750.
750,000.
No, it's more than that, but when we go to special town meeting in May, we've got to rectify
snow, yeah.
snow and ice. We
Yeah.
have the health insurance savings initiative, which was to go to a self-insured plan. In order to make the transition, you have to put 1 month's worth of claims into the equity fund of the joint purchasing group, so that when claims start to come in, that you have assets. And then-
Something to cover.
And then you will pay monthly. That's the town's money, it'll always be there. Hopefully, you never spend it because your claims are under your premium. But you have to do that, just jumpstart, that's 227,000. And there's 145 for snow and ice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got over just about 1 million left after fall town meeting. But we've got claims on about 250 of it, well, more than 250 of it.
And this is FY '20.
So this,
No, that's from
this is
18.
this is fiscal 19.
Yeah.
The money came
Free
from
cash.
closeouts in fiscal 18, was certified this recently, and that's what's available to the town for spending in fiscal 20.
I'm sorry, could you repeat what's been certified?
Oh, gosh. What she certified was, she's left.
1.4 or something?
1.4.
1.4, okay.
Still trying to print that?
Yes, I'm trying.
All right. So you have 500, so this is where you're gonna need your printout, because you're gonna see a lot of these are ties, and you're gonna have to decide the ties.
Yep.
Great.
It kind of goes without saying that the radios and the sound system in this room rank the highest. That's pretty much your consensus, that's what we would do. But the 173 would come out of the 500. The 17, only 1,000 of that would come out.
Yep.
So at this point, you've spent 174, that leaves you with, I'm not Gene, so I'll add out loud. 326?
326,000.
Yeah.
I know how we can break some ties. We'll just get Ellie to go back and make some of her
Yeah,
threes, fours.
right. Okay, go lower.
Hey, we'll still break a tie.
Now, I'll do this after.
I mean, if we saw it
I'm
all.
going to do this after because I know it's going to make Ellie happy. And if it's the last thing we do and everyone walks out happy, it's a good meeting, right?
Hey, I'm not unhappy.
No, I understand, but I'm saying there's,
I respect you, Ellie, because you stand your ground on things.
I do.
I like to be able to give anyone I work with good news.
Thank you.
Long story short, there's prior project funds that were approved for the library are still there. If you, and maybe you have to go to get a vote of the trustees.
How much? 2 million?
No. Not that much. I can't make you that happy.
So, I mean, so therefore, the stuff that we rated here could be paid for with, some of it would?
Only for the library, because it was set aside by town meeting for the library. You have a balance remaining on a renovation. It was special article number 2 several years back. You're carrying a balance of $3,615, according to Jean. And then you have another special article, Article number 8, which was set aside for, believe it or not, air conditioning and the replacement of the windows.
From when?
She didn't write the dates, which is unlike,
That might,
unlike her.
was that, well, see.
When I say the number, you might remember it, because none of it was spent. $67,372.
That's from you, that's from last year, I think. That was the fall town meeting.
No.
We didn't, the original air conditioning that we put in was about 35,000, and that was, I don't know, how old's the old air conditioning system?
I don't remember that you ever getting the money for anything.
But I remember we got in trouble because it was when Betsy was chair, but she said, oh, I know a good place to go to, and we didn't go out for bid, we just gave the job to
And you may never have done it, because Gina was relating similar facts. She's like, this is way before Justin's time here,
oh, yeah, okay.
and there was some trouble with it, and it was never spent. It's 67,372.53.
Maybe we raised that amount. We're good at fundraising.
This is article number 8. She just didn't write the town meeting.
Yeah. I'll look back.
But it may make it possible for you to do a couple of your projects without touching
Yeah.
the capital budget.
Yeah, that'd be good.
But knowing how you guys work, you're going to want to discuss that as trustees.
Yeah, okay, so air conditioning, and what was the 2016 was for?
It was an article for renovations, and you had a balance left of 3,615.
But we don't know what year?
Since Gina's left, I can get you that information right away, Monday.
Okay.
When do you
All right.
meet again? When does your group meet?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So that'd be good, yeah. And the Article 8 was 68,000?
67,372. Call it 373. No, round down. Call it 372. 67,372.
And the first one was in 2016 for?
No.
It wasn't?
I
it
don't
was-
know when it was.
It was for
was an artic-
2016 or $2,016?
No, 3,615.
3,615, okay. Okay. Yeah, so if you could figure
The
out,
way she's written this, because it's in a capital project, Fund 3100, and these are old library capital projects, so you could close them out and use them for a capital project at the library.
okay, good.
So that total was $70,987.
That's above and beyond.
Above and beyond what Justin asked for on those two small projects.
Well, that those two small projects could be paid for because they're capital projects.
Yes,
With
exactly.
using this money, so
Yeah.
then that
And-
wouldn't,
And it doesn't implicate the 326 that you have.
so we could start doing it now. Those two projects.
Well, correct.
Yeah, okay, good.
And the good part is if you run into any things like I run into where you find issues, you actually have.
Well, I
no
say
buffer,
correct.
right?
No, you're reprogramming those funds. You would need town meeting.
Well, it would still be for capital.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But somebody would have to vote to let you move that money.
so move from one to another.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay, so we have to
I
wait.
think it would go on the special town meeting warrant.
Okay.
And so what
For
was the
May
amount
6th.
from the library, Matt? I'm sorry.
70,987 total.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know with this Article 8. I'm curious about that one.
I just remember when I started and I had an interaction with Mike Fitzpatrick about the windows at the library. And he was saying he really wanted that project to start because there were issues with, part of it got done, it seems to me. It was sealing the windows, reglazing the windows.
Well,
Or,
you did that with the Green Communities Act.
Yeah, this was before, I know what he's talking about, because I got a window quote. for
Painting, no, it
Justin,
was painting.
But we never did it.
Well, you never did
Yeah.
it, and I said I didn't want to paint it until we had done all the weather
Exactly,
sealing,
yeah.
because you didn't want to scrape up paint you would just
Yeah.
put on. But he was concerned the materials needed to be painted so that they would
Yeah.
last longer, and that's a valid concern.
Exactly, yeah. And that was back in, I just looked this up, it was the December of 17.
December of 17
Because when
is
I
when-
got my quote for Justin the first time, and then Justin just asked me recently to get an updated one.
So,
for the
yeah.
one.
Oh, so you're working on that?
Yeah, I just, from the guy I have, yeah, quote. It'll give you a number anyway, yeah. Yep.
All right. 326 to the highest bidder, and then who's tied at, these next 6 projects are tied at a 3.83 rating.
Well, I would agree the generator should stay in third.
Yeah, me too.
We can't get the highway dump truck without having, for that grant, right? Out of
Right.
that.
That grant application is gonna tie you down.
And we have 750.
Well, actually, no, remember the way we discussed this? It's all or nothing on the one truck to be
Yeah.
replaced.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And if we get lucky and we get the grant, we'll get
We
2
get
trucks
2.
out of it. But
Yeah.
that,
So we have
the
to-
project here really is the truck.
Exactly, we have to fund it either way.
So you're gonna rank order those and then determine,
So the first 4 are definite, right? The safety radios, the cable, the generator, and the dump.
that would be the end, I think. If my math is,
Yeah, you would, that's exactly, I think it's 506,
Yeah,
241.
exactly.
That's what I just came up with for the top,
for the top 4.
the top 4, yeah.
So we'd have to shave a little from somebody. Oh,
Well, wouldn't you,
don't
you
take,
could
don't
have
take
just
all
one
17
dump.
for cable.
No, I did, maybe I
Oh,
didn't. I don't think I did.
that's right.
That's only
173
1,000.
So all we need is
Plus
1,000
one.
on that one.
plus
So we have
100.
700. I'm sorry.
17.
308.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
507.
7,000 over.
Yeah, 507, 240.
And we need to do the bridge. 'cause that's got a
Bridge is
grant.
450,000, not 950.
So there,
In the senior center.
Yeah.
there's a potential. I gotta be honest with you, this is a very comfortable, I mean, the list feels really comfortable. If you go all the way down to voting machines and draw a line there.
Yeah.
So we put our thinking caps on, how do we fund all this? The bridge being the sticking point.
Yeah.
Because that 950 is a worst-case scenario,
And what
right?
we,
Bear in mind, that is the most it could ever cost. And we did it that way on purpose. We think it's gonna be a little bit less than that, even if we have to replace the abutments. But we left enough wiggle room
Right.
in so we don't get
We're not
caught
coming
in the middle of
back.
a project with insufficient funds. So I guess I should add that up. What does that come up to? Oh, he's got me in the print dialogue.
We only have 500,000, right, Matt? It's 250 you want to carry over.
Ideally, you want to carry over 250, but how much of a predation on the remaining 250 is here? That's 47 for the bottom 2.
47, and so 77 with the PD tablets. 77,000.
and 1,000 for the cable.
Yeah, we got that. So what that would be 584, 240,
That's what I get.
assuming we basically program all the Chapter 90 funds to the bridge.
All right.
And hope to God we don't need anything beyond that.
Oh, so we wouldn't do capital money on it. It would be Chapter 90?
You could. But you wouldn't be able to pay if that was the
Right.
Yeah.
either or. It's a good, strong list. You tell
is.
me, you're all Douglas residents. I feel like it's a credible representation to the people of the town. Yeah, we went a little over what we had hoped, but we still can cover.
Quite a bit of stuff.
And you're doing something you haven't done in many, many years. You're rolling free cash forward to a future year. And if you do use it, it would be for economic development.
Which is a good thing.
I think everybody's looking for that, everyone's in favor of that, I mean.
I don't think you want to say no to the senior center. I don't like the idea that people fall. That's really terrible.
No.
People will fall at senior centers, we know that, but they shouldn't be falling on our floors because we're picking up.
Mm-hmm.
And the voting machines, I'll put my old campaign guy hat on. These voting machines can be hacked so easy. You don't have to be very smart. It's time,
Time
if
for
it's
an
not
update.
working,
Yep.
you need a new one. It's the most important thing in our democracy is that we count the vote properly, so.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, I'll see you.
So can we move on? Just
Well, is that,
make a
is that,
motion?
is that what, your list, is that what you want to do?
So just correct me, I got a little bit lost here, so, I know we drew a line past, just under the voting machines,
Right.
correct?
Right.
So is that saying that we're able to fund all those? Or just
So I
the
think-
first four?
To make it, I'll try to relate the information in a way where you can make a motion based on what I just said.
There you go. Perfect.
Which would be to fund the public safety radio program at a full 173,000.
Yep.
To fund the cable project for the resource room with 1,000 coming from the town as a whole and 16 coming from the cable committee.
Mm-hmm.
To fund a replacement generator for the municipal center at 135,000. A dump truck replacement for highway at 198,240. Tablets, 30,000, so tablets being information technology.
But
To approve going forward with the Cedar Street Bridge replacement at an estimated cost of $950,000, with $500,000 to come from the grant, and the remainder from Chapter 90. Now, we're not going to be able to say it that way, because we don't have that much Chapter 90.
Why don't we just take out the bridge part?
So we say, no, because it's part of a capital plan, you say 500,000 from grants and up to 386,000 from Chapter 90.
Yeah.
And if, frankly, if the project estimate comes in over 886, I don't know what we do then.
Well, wasn't there 200, well, I don't want to interrupt your motion
I'm
possibilities.
just trying to, yeah. And then the senior center floor replacement at 24,000, voting machines at 23,000. So the article would be $584,240 be raised from free cash.
584,
1,240.
from.
584240?
raised from free cash, from FY '18 free cash.
Yeah, it's current year certified free cash.
So moved.
Second.
Trying to
Any
make sure we do the
discussion?
bridge thing correctly. So
I'm sorry?
I want to make sure we do the bridge thing correctly. So
Mm-hmm.
it's 500 from grants, up to 386,000 from Chapter 90.
366 we
Is it
got appointed this
368?
year. Oh, see, 368, I don't have.
Let's call it 360 so we give ourselves a little bit of
Okay.
the mistake room. So that's 866.
Mhm.
So you're saying.
Oh, I hear
three-
Bill's voice.
Catch him before he goes
Hurry
out
up,
the
Bill.
door.
So which means no pavement, is what it means.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Sorry, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Bill.
We need your wisdom on the Cedar Street Bridge project.
Oh, okay.
So it's in here at 950. It got ranked,
Yeah.
but it blows us up a little bit
Yeah,
financially.
of course.
If John gave all his Chapter 90 funds this year, it would be 360, let's call it 360. And the grant's 500.
Yes.
I mean, is that a bogus move? Is 860 gonna even come close? We have it in here for 950.
I think the 950 is a conservative number, but because we don't have any sort of drawings or analysis of the abutments at this stage, we have to be conservative. I do expect the number to go down, but for planning purposes, we have to plan worst case. Both John and I agree that we think the abutments will need to be reconstructed, or a box culvert would need to be required, but the engineer assures me that their numbers are conservative. So they understand the process of budgeting and staying under the budget.
Is there a time frame for this? Does it have to be completed by a certain time?
No, I think in the paperwork, and I don't have it in front of me that I distributed, I think I could go grab the grant
Wait,
package.
well,
but-
I want you to
But I
do
think
that.
it is, we have, I want to say, they're planning next construction season, obviously. This year, they will do the design, it would be next year's.
Will we have any
construction
funds
season.
for next year that if we had to take, not that I want to take it?
Well, it'll be minimal if we did have to take it, and then we would still have a good chunk
That's
left
what
in
I'm saying.
Chapter
If we had
90.
to Chapter 90
Can you
next year.
hold that year over year?
10 years.
That's it.
10 years.
So that's
It's a
what I'm saying.
10-year revolving account.
We've done that before with, if I had you have it,
Okay, then,
we'll
so we
earmark
don't
it.
have to worry about if we're short, because we
Exactly.
won't pay for it till it's done.
That's
Yeah.
what I was
The other
Yeah.
thing I want to add is
Thank
there's
you.
there's a
That's
couple
huge.
of other grant opportunities that we're pursuing. In fact, Monday I'm meeting with CMRPC about the municipal vulnerability program, which we have some significant access to funds if these particular structures are identified as a critical structure through a process. I'll leave it at that. I don't think it's a great process, but it's a process. And the town participates in identifying the process, the critical areas. So if this is identified as a critical area through their process, they would allocate some funding for it. So we could tap into other sources. There's that. I'm also trying to evaluate complete streets too. And that's another potential source for that, because that bridge is 1 lane wide. We widen it, have sidewalks, so that could potentially be another source of funds.
Yeah.
And it's too early to commit that. That's why I submitted it the way I did with.
That's a
the
huge
950.
thing.
Yeah, it
If, knowing that the time frame here allows us to think about 2 years' worth of funding here, that alleviates the sense of
Pressure.
responsibility that we're attacking free cash with it. So we'll just say, we'll go forward, your committee could decide to go forward with this, obligate no free cash against it, and then as the project is updated by Bill and the engineers, you just know that you're holding back
Holding
your
it
check.
Chapter 90.
We'd had to do it for the last few bridge jobs, wait
Is
for
that
2
what-
years.
Yeah, I'll need it back.
Yeah. I
All right, so
I know
then
where
that-
you can get another one.
Then that number is still good, 584240.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Boss.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further
So if
discussion?
you don't mind if I could just read this before you finish. We estimate the design will take between 6 and 12 months to complete. Full replacement will be longer than the design time, obviously. The bridge will be detoured for construction. Construction can occur in 3 to 6 months, anticipated over the summer of 2020.
Actually works in our favor.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Shirley.
Oh, you're welcome.
So a motion's been made and seconded to spend $500,000,
584.
$584,240 to cover the radios for the public safety grant, $17,000 for cable, which is only $1,000 from town funds, a backup generator for the municipal center at $135,000, a dump truck, $198,240, tablets for public safety vehicles, $30,000, the bridge on Cedar Street, with grants.
Zero out of free cash.
Senior Center, $24,000 for flooring, and voting machines at $23,000. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
If you meet again, before we're completely done with the warrant, we'll make sure that, we'll check with Gene and Rich, that everything's copacetic and we draft the article.
What's good for everyone? Want to talk Monday or Tuesday?
Both are good for me,
You
except...
can't post fast enough for Monday.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
You
true.
can't post fast enough for
For
Tuesday at this
Tuesday
point.
either.
Yeah.
And I'm.
Well, I was trying to
I'm
help.
I'm really trying to help,
out
I know, but it's
Yeah.
late and
Yep.
Wednesday?
Not
you could
me.
post Monday for Wednesday. That'd be the soonest you could, but you kind of want
Thursday,
everybody.
Friday? The only thing...
Can we post Monday for Wednesday?
Yeah, 48 hours.
Okay.
You do have a couple
Well,
things
separate.
on Thursday,
Yeah.
but we could fit in whatever is good for everybody else, so...
Yeah, I'm not back till the afternoon on Friday.
Okay.
So I won't be here
All right.
Wednesday or Thursday.
So we really got to meet Wednesday to get this wrapped up. 10 o'clock in the morning, okay?
Yeah, it's better for me.
Yeah?
That's better for me.
For everybody here?
27?
Yes, the 27th, Wednesday, 10 a.m.
Good.
Well, that worked out okay.
We don't have any old business, any new business. I'll try to send out minutes so that if we want to approve minutes that meeting, we can do that.
And we need to make sure everybody else that isn't here knows
Correct.
a reminder.
All right. Anybody have anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion made by John, seconded by Sherwood to adjourn at 12, is that 27?
27?
12:27.